So you're all here to talk about the power of process, right? And, you know, how to design a process for your business, walking through all of this like business requirement, user personas, getting an idea, building it out, right? Walking through this whole like, how do you develop a vision and understanding process and implement that process? And then you have to redesign these processes, right? This is what you're all here to talk about, all this corporate stuff, right? Yeah?
No.
You sure? Because I mean, those things, they really bring efficiency, you know,
Yes.
resources when they change, you've got to kind of redo this stuff. Customer experience, I mean, my God, we've got to talk about customer experience. You have to increase your production because we all know, you know, you just got to build and build and build on your business. And if no process exists, well, forget it. Your business is going to go defunct, right? And what do they tell you to do? You have to get clarity, right? Clarity of your purpose. What does that mean? You have to get simple and streamlined operations to make sure that you are doing an upward trajectory so you can get increased efficiencies. And then what does that do? That gives you better results in products and ultimately brings you more profit. This is what we learned, right? How many of you learned this in corporate world somewhere along the line? Yeah, we've got one person, we've got some head shaking, right? So what they tell you is you start with this vision, you set some goals, set some plans, you do some action, and then you're going to have success. Ta-da! Magic, right? But here's the thing. How does that feel? Does it feel really good when you're doing all of that? You know? So no, what we're here to talk about today is running a values-based business. That's what's important. And I'm here to talk about that because everything I just went through really quickly, I lived that for 20 years in the corporate environment. And what I realized is, and I'm not kidding when I say one day I woke up, I happened to be in Vermont at the time. I'm like, this does not feel right. I was in the newspaper industry. I was sitting in the Burlington Free Press. And I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? I am making money for somebody else when inside something's not in alignment. Something's not in alignment with me. Something's not in alignment with the work that I'm doing. So I started down that journey for myself. And I want to take you on a little bit of that journey this morning. And then I'm going to take you on a little bit of that journey for yourselves today. So that's really what we're here to talk about. So with these numbers, 30, 60, and 1, what do you think they have in common? Anybody have any idea?
30 minutes an hour.
Oh, you know that. No, but it could, yes. Any other ideas?
About cold calling.
That's funny. No, but that's actually really funny. No, 30% of adults are actually living and working their dream job. Of that 30%, only 6% are from the US. 6%. That is a really low number, and there's only one you. So how many of you, I'm curious, photography is your primary business? Okay, one. How many of you are working your dream job? Okay, what do you do?
A tour operator.
Are you? Okay, so tell me more. I want to know more. For
I
what?
started out in photography.
Yeah.
And I started my own tour operating business, and I work with photographers to create photographic workshops all around the world. And I also do my own coaching.
I love this. And how long have you been running this?
I'm horrible, 7, 8 years maybe.
Okay, great. But so you made a pivot. That is my husband taking my dog out. Sorry. Going out the front door. We have a wink. So 7, 8 years ago, you made this pivot and you made this shift. So you could be one of the 6%. That's awesome. How's that feel?
I wish I was making money from it, but I get to travel.
Okay.
And I do it for free, so.
All right.
What could you ask for? Just wish I was making more money doing it.
We can do that.
That's right.
I said we can help do that. We're gonna look at that today a little bit. You said you're living your dream job. I want to hear more.
Well, I love technology and I do tech support, so it's always problem solving and it's always evolving. So I'm never bored, and that's basically a dream of mine because I need to not be bored.
Mhm. Who do you do tech support for?
Education for all Vermont students K through 12.
So is education part of like your,
Yeah, I
Heart.
did that for a lot of years.
Mhm.
I miss it, but you know, I'd rather do this and not work in a building,
got it?
because I work from home.
Okay, so you're still staying connected to something that really that you love. Would you say you're one of the 6% that you're working your dream job?
No,
Okay,
no,
okay. But you're working in something you like.
I do love it.
Okay.
It's not my dream.
Gotcha, all right. Who else raised their hand? I think I only saw 2. Okay, so now I wanna know. Oh, did you raise your hand? I'm sorry, so tell me, what is it you do?
I work from home at some online businesses,
Mhm.
so I work for and by myself, which was my dream.
Excellent,
And I've done it many times before. I'm liking this one.
excellent. So when you say you run online businesses, tell me a little bit about what you do. Or
I have
not.
4 businesses that would take too long.
Okay, all right, fair enough, fair enough. But you're working from home, you're running your own company, yeah, and how long have you been doing this?
Probably 5 years.
Excellent, okay. So again, you made a pivot at some point to just take the leap, right?
Well, I was retired first,
Ah,
and then I decided I needed something to do.
yeah. So did you retire from a dream job?
I did wedding photography, I loved that,
Uh-huh,
but I don't do it anymore.
gotcha, okay, all right. So for those of you that aren't working your dream job, what would your dream job be? We're gonna start here with Leah. She's like, do not start with me.
My dream, I would be working. I would be taking photography for National Geographic or something.
Oh, nice, love that. Where in particular?
I would like to go to, Africa.
Oh,
That would be my first place.
nice, very nice. For the animals or for the terrain?
For the animals.
Animals.
I like the terrain, but animals would be the thing.
Love it. One of my photographer friends just came back. She spent a month there doing photography there, and she just needed to do it. I love it. Good for you. That's cool. Natasha, what would you be doing?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know because it keeps changing. So when I think about like the past 50 or 40 years of my life that I've been working, it's like I want to go to a gym. That was my dream job. Photography, I love doing photography. I'm a manager at a hospital, which I absolutely hate. So totally not my dream. But photography is part of my dream. I also would love to open a yoga studio. I love to do something more in the travel industry. So I don't know, very eclectic. I wouldn't be able to pick one.
We call that multi-passionate.
Yeah.
So you're multi-passionate. I
Yes.
love that. Okay. Maybe there's a way you combine it all together. Who knows, right? Who knows? And I'm so sorry, I don't remember your name.
Karen.
Karen, I will remember this.
That's okay.
Karen, what's your dream job?
So I would. My dream job is something that would involve me just being physically busy, right? So I would love to, with photography, I'd love to just find my niche, have a studio and really just hone that one thing, right? So say it's maternity photography, right? I just want to turn the tables every day, bring those maternity women in and photograph them and offer them beautiful service and custom albums and then celebrate them, right? Like that would be my ultimate goal, I think. And also to be surrounded around like-minded people like we have here, you know? I think that networking is very important. So having some kind of networking, whether I create it or become more a part of it in some way. And I also love to bake. I love to bake cakes, I love to bake cookies, and I love to, again, that kind of busy work. So if the photography thing really I found it wasn't my thing, which I've invested a lot of time and money and energy into, so that's my main focus. I love doing a bakery. Just a small niche out bakery, but again, you know, something that is a place where people can come and they can have coffee and they can network and.
Maybe it's pregnant mothers or those that who are pregnant that come and do their gender, I don't know, like, I'm making up businesses for you.
They come and get pickled cupcakes and then they go. to-
Right? And Sarah, I think you're online, right? Sarah, is that your name?
Katie.
Katie. So Katie, are you living and working your dream job?
Only part-time. But I always wanted to be a photojournalist.
I love that. Any particular place or?
Not really. I think any place that was, I guess I always imagined, like when I was younger, like any kind of just event that was happening somewhere in the world. Like I just wanted to be there photographing what was happening. But I don't know. Good, bad. But back then I was thinking more about photographing people, and but I guess I still think about it sometimes, but just more of like the actual like instant reaction of people like during, I guess I'm thinking about like my friend in Ukraine, not that I would want to be there, but there's parts of me that still wish I could document parts of even tragedy in life. And I don't know, I'm just kind of just want to make it like aware in the world,
Yeah, storytelling.
yeah,
I love it. That's great.
both good and bad.
Oh, I like it. Kimberly, I see that you joined us online. Welcome.
Hi there. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, thank you for being here. So Kimberly, I didn't see when you joined, but right now we're just talking about that only 6% of US adults are actually working and living their dream job. So are you working and living your dream job right now?
No, to be honest with you, where I'm at right now in life is, I'm transitioning. I've been a dental assistant for 22 years. Within the last several years, I have been diagnosed with some chronic illnesses, so that has kind of flipped my world upside down. And I have always loved photography. I've been pursuing it definitely more seriously in the last probably 2 or 3 years. It's gone from an interest definitely to more of a solid passion for me. I've been very active, especially with a lot of wildlife photography and nature stuff, although I do some portrait work and some other stuff as well. And I've been very fortunate. I've won a few awards, I've gotten published. But now I'm just like, okay, maybe this is what I need to be focusing on, and how can I take that to the next level? I feel like I've been spinning my wheels a little bit. I want to focus more on the business end of things, but kind of don't know where to start. I feel a little overwhelmed with all of the info and, tax stuff and, this stuff and that stuff, getting organized and then just kind of going for it. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm in a transition period right now, but it's, a little scary, but it's also exciting. So I think there's some opportunity there.
Great.
Definitely.
Well, thank you for sharing, Kimberly. I appreciate that. And obviously transition for what you're going through, well wishes to you as you navigate that, because it's not easy.
Thank you. Thank you
Absolutely.
very much. I appreciate that.
Jamie, you raised your hand that you are living your dream job, correct?
I did not.
Oh, okay. She's like, no, Lisa, I did not.
Actually, I'd rather be retired.
Okay, so tell me more about that. So what does retired mean to you?
Retired would mean not having to worry about money and being able to spend my time giving to other people, like in a volunteer effort. Ideally traveling as well, but
Okay, all right. So I appreciate you all sharing. So I am now part of the 6%. I wasn't for a really, really long time. And yet what I find though is as we continue to evolve as human beings and the work that we do and our passions grow and change and evolve, you sometimes are in that 6% and you sometimes aren't in that 6%, right? Kind of depending on where you're at. So right now I'm in that 6%. Talk to me in a year. We'll see if I'm there. And if not, how do you pivot and shift? And why do you pivot and shift, right? So that's part of what I would highly encourage you to do, is continue asking yourself that, because otherwise you get to a point where you might feel stuck. Or you might wait way too long and you're like, why didn't I do this sooner, right? So how long were you in your job before you retired? What did you say?
Oh, 29 years.
29 years? Do you wish you had retired sooner to now start your online business?
No.
No? Okay.
It was fun, I enjoyed it.
Okay, so that's good then, because you were also living a passion, I bet. Photography was a passion.
Yeah.
You like people happy, getting married, right? So that's good. Now for my dental hygienist, Kimberly, do you wish that you had done something a little bit sooner?
Yeah, definitely. I'm just one of those people where I feel like I've always been a late bloomer, so this is kind of true to form for me.
Got
But
it,
yeah, definitely, I would agree for sure.
got it. So that's part of what we're going to dive into today, right? And talk a little bit about that. So this is kind of me, and I do a lot of different things, right? And so I talk about that I'm part of that 6%. At the end of the day, you know, dumbing all of this down for myself, I help businesses find their heart, and I help people find their passion. That's what I do. I have alphabet soup behind my name and all of that good stuff, and that's great and that's fine. But the reality is, I want to make people feel alive, and I want to make businesses help whomever they're helping feel alive. That's what I love, and that's what I'm super passionate about, and that's what we'll do today. So when you think about, you know, we just talked about dream job, but usually when you talk about dream job, it's also about those passions, or how do you take the things that you've learned along the way and you turn them into something that really gets you excited about it. I mean, what's the old adage? If you love your job, you never really work a day in your life, right? That's the old adage. And it's really, really true. And so for those of you who have even spent a little bit of time in that 6% of working your dream job, you know what that feels like. Don't you want that feeling all the time? And how do you do that? And how do you build a business on that? You know, one of the threads that in having you all share is you all have entrepreneurial spirit too, which I love. Now you're all in different places on that entrepreneurial spirit, whether it's a side gig or whether it's the working from home piece of it. Now, granted, COVID changed everything, right? All of a sudden everybody could work from home, and now it wasn't this like, you know, ooh, taboo thing, or this like, wow, miracle thing that you can work from home. Everybody can. And now there was innovation that came from that, and how exciting is that? But there's bits and pieces of that entrepreneurial spirit that you all have. You know, the other thing too is if you look at all of these words, it's how you take the definitions of these for yourself and build that in. What's the experience that you need to have your dream job? What's the career path that you took to get to the point you are now? Or where do you need to go and build on your career to move forward? Is happiness part of your dream job? I would hope so. If you're not happy in the job that you're working, I'm gonna say it's probably not your dream job, just gonna say. So again, when you think about dream job and you think about the dream business that you want to run, what are all of those things that you need? And what I would like to tell you, and what I experienced for me, and some of what I'll share with you here over the next little bit, is I found that really getting honest with myself and really getting vulnerable with myself is how I build connections with other people, which ultimately helped me build my business. And let me tell you, vulnerability is super duper hard. And especially when you grew up in the corporate world. So I like to say I grew up professionally in the corporate world. I mentioned that I was in the newspaper industry. I was around the country with Gannett. That's how I grew up professionally. Talk about not being vulnerable. Woman in business, woman in the C-suite, surrounded by men in the C-suite who, when sitting at a table, I was the one they looked at to take notes. Yeah, been there, right? Yeah, super great. It's so fun. Yeah, so being vulnerable, no, because then you're the woman that has emotions and all of that good stuff. So yeah, and so it took a long time to get to the point of what it meant to be vulnerable for me. So I want to play a little bit of a connection exercise with all of you. So how many of you were born in Pennsylvania? Anybody? Nobody? Okay, just me. So we don't have a connection point. I was born in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I'm not Amish, but I was born there.
Actually, I was there 2 years ago,
Okay,
and when I read your bio, I was like, oh, cool, I actually can picture where she's from. I know
excellent.
people there now, so.
So we have a connection right now. I love that. That's great. So how many of you were or will be the first to graduate from a four-year college in your family? I can't see everybody online, so I don't know. So for me, I didn't realize this about myself until somebody else said this to me in an environment, and I'm like, you know what, me too. Huh, never thought about that, kind of interesting. So again, but what does that mean, and what conversations can you have around that? How many of you have only one sibling? Okay, older or younger?
Older.
So you're the baby. Yeah, so I know you, I see you. What about you, Jamie?
I have a younger brother who's 6 years younger.
6 years younger, okay, so you're the oldest. Okay, so you're like caretaker mentality,
Yep.
okay. All right, how many, who else has just one sibling? Okay, brother or sister?
Sister.
Okay, so I have a brother. So again, one sibling. So there's things that we can talk about being the youngest sibling in a family. How many of you have witnessed a miracle? Now, you're all photographers in some way. I'm sure you all witnessed a miracle somewhere. None of you? I don't believe you. Yeah.
Baby I had was a miracle.
I was just gonna say.
Birth, absolutely. What else? You raised your hand.
I had a stroke 9 years ago and
That is a miracle. Yeah, you did. Nice. Glad you're here. Who else?
I had a ruptured appendix when I was 4 months pregnant, and I birthed an 11-pound baby.
Okay, there's like many miracles in that. I mean, let's just start there.
All natural interventions.
Wow. Wow, yeah. Multiple miracles, seriously, in that. That's huge. Wow. 11 pounds. Yep. Yep, good for you. Who else? Any other miracles? Yeah.
I was bartending once and this customer had taken a little too much prime rib and were choking, so I had to give them the Heimlich and save them because nobody else was getting up.
Wow.
So it was a crowded restaurant and bar and everybody saw it and nobody did anything. So,
And you know what? If they were all sitting in this room, they would have all raised their hands because they witnessed a miracle by you saving a life.
Yeah.
That's huge. Who else?
Actually, I have another one. So I have a very good friend of mine whose daughter was 12 years old and she was like literally hours away from dying. She had a liver and kidney transplant. And her dad was transplanting her liver, but the whole timeline was taking such a long time. She was hours from death. And suddenly like it came through and she survived it. Like she's now getting married. So that's a true miracle. I mean, she just was hours from dying. Her skin was as great as yellow as her. Was her hair.
Well,
So miracle.
so I've witnessed a lot of miracles in my life, but, you know, help people transition, my father to the other side, you know, and to me, that was a miracle, even just watching that last breath. But I always find it really interesting when I ask this question, because usually we associate miracles with life or death situations, you know, but it doesn't always have to be, because a miracle can be when you find that spark within yourself to switch and have the courage to change what you're doing in this moment today and make a change and do something completely different tomorrow. That's also a miracle. Because I think we as humans are so conditioned to just doing the same thing because we know that it's easy. We know that we can do things with our eyes closed because we've been doing them for so long and they become habitual. But when you make that decision because of the spark of passion that's inside of you, to then all of a sudden say, you know what, I'm now going to do this. I might fail. I might find that I don't love it. I might lose friends. I mean, how many of you have evolved through life and you've lost friends because all of a sudden you've changed and they don't understand it? Yeah, right? Everyone's like, yes, yeah. And that's okay, because people are in your life for a season. That season could be a lifetime, that season could be a moment, right? They're there. But so again, sometimes those miracles don't have to be that huge thing. They can be that small shift
I recently had that happen then, if that's where you wanna go, like, I was working for a large corporation. I was there for 5 years, I gave them, I built this entire department. And, the company was getting bigger without actually taking care of the inside first. If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, my kids are teenagers and I was just feeling like I needed to be home more for them. And for myself, for my sanity, not being out of the house 12 hours a day, so I could actually be home to take care of things. And I just kept putting it out in the universe, and it probably took a good 2 to 3 years. But I've now been working from home for about almost a year. And the shift has been miraculous. Now, it's not my dream job. It's not what I would have, would choose. But I'm so grateful for it that, how can you not kind of call it your dream in a sense, right? To be able to be home for my kids and my family and still have a job and pay the bills and have some flexibility to be in the photography world and try to create that for myself as well.
I love it. And the thing is, that miracle that happened, I mean, you used the word, it was miraculous. The shift that happened was miraculous for you. It was miraculous for your kids. Your kids watched you make a change to better the life for not just you, but for your family. And that's a step to getting to where you want to be from a dream job perspective. Doesn't have to be your dream job yet. That's a step there, right?
Yes.
So, but it felt like a miracle to you, right? All of that
Yes,
shift
every
and
day.
that weight every day.
Every day.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, how many of you are married? Okay. How many of you are married to like the love of your life?
That's a really good question.
You don't choose to share or not. I'm talking about being vulnerable. So I gotta tell you, I am married to the love of my life and I'm so grateful for it. How many of you are divorced? Yep, me too. That was from my first husband that we don't talk about, but right? So, sometimes again, it's taking those steps and finding out what you don't like to get to what you like. Sometimes it happens in marriage. P.S. Who you photograph, that is the love of my life, just so you know, like that is who I am still married to. All right, so how many of you have lived in more than one state? I know a couple of you have. Okay, yeah. So how many of you have lived in more than 10 states? Anybody? She's counting, right? She's like, are we talking countries, 10 states? What are we talking about? Yeah.
Been around.
Been around. That's a different conversation, Natasha. So I've lived in 14 states. So what I love about that too is if I meet somebody from Georgia, I can talk to them about the hills of Georgia and how it was chased by a rooster. If you lived in New York City, I can talk to you about New York City and Broadway. And I love that because we can have conversation and get deep, meaningful very quickly instead of how's the weather? Oh, it's snowing. Could you take a picture? I mean, it's beautiful, but that's not the conversations I want to have. And that's definitely not in business how I want to get to know my clients or the people that I work with. I want it to be meaningful. We have this life to do that in. So again, we talk a lot about connection. So everything that we just talked about was connection, which truly is a verb, right? And I like to just remind myself of this. I actually appreciate doing this because again, it's about connecting of people. It's about bringing together or into contact so that a link is established. So I have something in common with each of you right now. And it took 5 minutes to figure that out. So now when we sit down at lunch or we sit down later, I can have different conversations. I want to know where you went in Lancaster. I want to know if you say Lancaster, if you say Lancaster, like all of these different things. I want to know more about your stroke and what happened and, what that did for you. Like that I want to know your heart, but it's all about that connection. And you only can get to that point if you figure out how to be vulnerable with yourself. So here's the thing. When a defining moment comes along, you can do one of two things, right? You can either define the moment or let the moment define you. Some of you shared some pretty pivotal stuff, right, in your life that made you go, no, I'm going to define that moment. But but it happens all the time. You have choices every single day. Some are pivotal, some aren't, some are pretty mundane. You know, you had a choice to either drive this morning in the snow and come here, or not, or you came last night, or not, you know? But I was, because I was paying attention when everybody was walking in who was talking, and I heard you say that too many times you've driven in snow where you came into situations where it was life-threatening.
So many times.
So, little scary, so I don't know if I wanna be on the road with you, but I mean, tell me more about that. Like, you made a really big decision based on past experiences.
Yes,
So-
I lived in the mountainous areas and the roads were not well plowed and I had to get home or stay on the side of the road. So it was like, I was bobsledding down these mountainsides. And sometimes you're sliding into a cliff and you have to, so too many experiences like that. I probably shouldn't have drove in the first place, but, you know.
But we're Vermonters.
Yeah.
But you're Vermonters,
Yeah.
exactly. I love it. We're Vermonters. See, and my mother-in-law is a Vermonter. And the woman is 70 years old, still cuts her own wood. I mean, like, I love the resilience of Vermonters, so I appreciate that comment. But yeah, so it really is about, now again, is that a moment that's pivotal in your life? Maybe. When you were driving potentially into a cliff, turning the wheel, was that a pivotal moment? Probably, you know. So, but again, you have the decision to either let a moment define who you are and the work that you do, or you can make the decision to define it. It's your choice. You know, for me, it was going through a lot of the journey that I went through, and I'll take you through it here in a few minutes. I really needed to figure out who I really was, and really needed to live and lean into that. And it took a long time. It took a long time, you know, especially, so growing up in Lancaster, there was a certain way of doing things. You had to, or you should, right? All the shoulds, and we should all over ourselves all the time, right? But you had to find the person you were supposed to be with, then you got married. Couldn't live with them before you got married, but you got married, then you bought a house, then you had children, not children, then you got a bigger house. And then, you know, you made sure you had your job, and then you climbed up the corporate ladder in your job and made the most money you could. And then again, I'm in Pennsylvania, so then you also had a second home that you went to on the Jersey Shore, because you needed to go to Wildwood to make sure you went to the beach, you know. And then you would get to retirement, your kids would go off to college, and then you'd retire to the beach and happily ever after. That's what they wanted you to do. Sounds lovely?
The beach part.
The beach part.
Going to the,
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
doing the rest.
I'm gonna tell you, that order of things.
I saw the 50s as well.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. They drive horse and buggies and where I grew up, and they still do it. But in all seriousness, it's like, that's a lot to live up to too. Those expectations that are put on you. And so when you start making decisions that aren't within those guidelines and those confines, start to question yourself a little bit. You're like, okay, well, I'm living with somebody before I'm getting married. Am I going to hell? You know, like, these are the things that you start thinking about. And so when you start kind of stripping away all of these expectations that are put on you, then what are you left with? You're left with who you are, you know. And it's pretty powerful when you come to that point. Some people never come to it. Some people come to it early in life, but it's taking those steps to figure out what that looks like. And I gotta tell you, I went through a lot of all of that in the background, you know. It's not my writing, but I found this, and it's like, you know, again, people stayed with me on the journey, some people didn't stay. My best friend, and we've been besties for 36 years. So she's still with me, thank God, because I don't know what I'd do without her. But I don't have children. Let me tell you, coming from Lancaster and not having children, that's problematic for sure, you know. But again, for me, I continue to persist because I was on the journey to find me, which ultimately helped my business. And PS, I've been in business for 16 years. And I still go through this journey all of the time of like, why am I holding on to that? Let me let go of that. It happens. But when you start and you give yourself permission to go through that journey, you start stripping away all of these other things that you realize weren't yours to begin with. You took on something else. So, what time is it? All right. So I'll take you on a little journey of my life so you can get to know me. I got to know a little bit about you. You're gonna get to know me. Then we'll take a break. And then on our break, I want you to think about a few things that you want to share with the room. But I'll tell you about that when I'm done telling you about me. So this is me. That was me when I was really little. So again, grew up in Lancaster, and I was a very, very smiling little girl, loved life. You know, my mother couldn't do my hair to save her life, as you can tell from pictures. You know, this was actually my favorite outfit. I wouldn't take it off for days. What's funny now is I hate the color blue. I can't stand it. But here I am in the outfit that I would wear for days. And as I mentioned, I grew up in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Yes, that is me in an Amish buggy. What's funny is I was living in Vermont at the time, and I took a friend of mine who grew up in Swanton down to Lancaster, and he was a photographer, still is a photographer to this day. And he said, get in a horse and buggy. I had never been in a horse and buggy in my entire life, and I grew up there. So that's the picture. This is the house I grew up in. So my last name, my maiden name is Andrew, and my parents designed and had this house built, and we moved in 1974, September of 74. The reason I know that is I was born in August, so I like to say that this was the present my parents gave to me on my birth. So that house is since gone, which is very sad, but. So I told you a little bit that, you know, I graduated. Now this is my graduation from high school. Yes, it is my real hair. And yes, my hair still turns into that when it's rainy outside. But that was a really exciting day for me, because graduating from high school, let me tell you, the crap that I went through with parents getting divorced and all kinds of stuff during that time, I don't know how I got there, but I did. And in fact, I even went to college and was part of a sorority. Yep, that's me. And those are my sorority sisters. And, you know, I look at the top left-hand side and only 3 of us are still alive to this day. Think about that. I'm in my mid-40s and only 3 of them are still alive. Did they do what they needed to do in this lifetime to make the change they wanted to be in the world, to run the business they wanted to have in the world? I don't know. I'm going to say probably not. They probably didn't get there. Don't hold it against me, but I was also in a pageant. So I was in a pageant to raise money. I won nothing. So, but it was an experience. And funny enough, I look at that picture and I'm like, I don't even know who that person is. But again, it was something that I should do. However, this is something that, so I told you about my best friend. That is my best friend. We are best friends. She'll be 50 in a month and a half. And unlike what I did that day, so I left her wedding early because I was very jealous and selfish, because I didn't want her marrying this man and taking her away from my life. She was 19 years old and I wanted her as part of my life, but now I'm taking her on a 50th birthday that she has no idea. So that's fun. So, but again, all of these women, her sisters by choice, her sisters by blood, we're all still very tight. She will be a part of my journey. She is something I will never strip away. First time I snowshoed here in Vermont. So I told you about my photographer friend. Valentine's Day, he took me up to, I think we were on Mount Mansfield. Yes, we were. So we went up to Mount Mansfield. I didn't even know what a snowshoe was. I was like, great. And he gave me a chunk of cabbage cheese to eat. I was like, great, this is wonderful. I love snowshoeing. I didn't even know that I loved snowshoeing until that moment. You know, actually, my husband and my husband's name is Nate, by the way. He keeps saying my husband. So if I say Nate, that's my husband. He said, do you want to take your snowshoes with you? I'm like, I'm not carrying them on the plane, but I love it. I would have never known that if I hadn't tried something different and kind of shaved away my fear of, am I going to look stupid? And let me tell you, I was using a friend of his snowshoes and I broke them. I broke the little clip at the bottom, halfway up the mountain. Yeah, and I felt terrible. But again, I had a good time, and now it's something that I love and always do when I'm near snow. So these are my parents. who taught me a lot of what I know, of what I want to be, and also what I don't want to be. And I told you a lot about growing up in Lancaster and all of the shoulds and the things that people put on you, whether it's the energy of where you live, of the town, or your family. And so I wrote a book about what changes when you become an adult orphan. And so both my parents are gone. And let me tell you, a lot changes when you become an adult orphan, right? All of a sudden, these expectations that maybe they had on you, or maybe they didn't, could have all been made up in your mind, but those kind of start going away. You make choices and then nobody's there to tell you you're wrong, or you stop hearing their voices in your head. Every once in a while, I still do. But I mean, can anybody relate to that? I'm seeing some heads shake. Yeah, yeah. So that's my, up in the right, my mom's scattered in the Tetons, which is very cool. So this next picture might look familiar. So I decided on my wedding day that I wanted to stop traffic.
Well, you did it.
That is taken right out here on that road, and we stopped traffic and people were not happy with me. But this was one of the moments that defined me, because I was like, damn it, I want to do this. I want to live out loud as the fun person that I am. This only lasted maybe 90 seconds to 2 minutes. And everybody, all of my girls wanted to stay out there, and I felt bad. So I ran off the road. Do you remember this?
I do remember.
Yeah.
Cars were honking too.
Yeah, cars were honking, but this was something I wanted to do. I look confident in that picture, but let me tell you, I was not, but it was something I wanted to do, and I stripped away that fear. Super fun. One of the best days of my life. That's also part of my wedding day. I just put that up there because it's one of my favorite pictures. So the other thing is I'm an actor. So I do a lot of improv. I love being on the stage. I was a professional actor in New York for a long time. Don't really talk about that part a lot of my life because I did it for a long time and it was not my passion. But because I announced it as my passion when I was a kid, I felt like I had to go through with it. I felt like I had to do those things. So I took some time off from that, but then worked my way back in to just do a little bit of improv and get where I get the joy from it, not what other people thought I should do. I'm also a cancer survivor. So how many of you are cancer survivors? Anybody? Y'all survived a lot of other stuff. Y'all shared that with me. But because of that, there was an organization up here in Vermont, Cocktails Curing Cancer. And when I moved to Delaware, I decided to open a chapter there. So I was the title sponsor here and turned it into, it's something I wanted to bring to Delaware. So I did. And that's, well, was my board at the time. But this over here was Relay for Life that they do at the, well, do they still do it at the fairgrounds? I don't know.
I think they stopped doing it around COVID. I don't think they started it again.
That's really too
They
bad.
did like virtual and stuff, but they might.
That's really too bad, because that was amazing.
Yeah.
That experience of shared, you want to talk about shared living and shared experiences and connection. Spend a night at a Relay for Life somewhere. That's very, very powerful.
Done that numerous times.
Yeah. Yeah. So you cannot walk away the same person when you do something, whether it's Relay for Life or something that vulnerable for people. You are changed even if you don't recognize it until later. Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay, there's more you want to tell me. What happened?
No, it just makes me emotional because it was a time in my life where I lost a lot of people to cancer. So.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah, cancer sucks. We hate cancer. I'm also a traveler. I love traveling around the world. So I know a lot of you talk about traveling. Like, I want to know, again, I'm going to ask you all a bunch of questions at lunch, but I'm going to know, or will know, the best place that you've ever traveled to and where you want to go, you know. But these are some fun things that I did. And, you know, this, and again, you talk about Vermont and connections to Vermont. So Vermont, if you live here only for a moment in your life, it never lets you go. It just doesn't. So that picture down at the bottom left-hand side is because I went to visit friends who lived in Vermont and moved to Munich. They came back to get married here down at the Interval. And a week later, they went back to Munich and I followed them. I was like, we're coming to see you. So, but again, I would have never known them had I not lived in Vermont. I also have pets. I'm only showing you my cats because my dog is a jerk. I love him, but he's a puppy and he's my first dog and I can't get a picture of him. He's a husky and he's just like, you know, smarter than me and runs around. But these are my cats, Jack and Simon, and I have a dog, Dexter. So pet lovers here? You're not raising your hand. You better love your pet. You brought.
I have a cat, so like it's goofy eyes tearing and runny nose and coughing, so I like cats, but I can't be around them.
But you like pets. You
I
like
love
pets.
pets. Oh my gosh, yes, I love pets.
Yeah. So how many of you have cats? How many of you have dogs? How many of you have other pets? Birds? What do you have? A guinea pig?
I have
One or
Af-
two?
Oh, sorry, African gray parrot.
So you are the second person that I know that has an African gray parrot. The other one lives in Williston, oddly enough. What's up with that? All right, interesting. And how many of you love the beach? Okay, that's my front yard. So I let Herman to move to the beach.
Yeah. Oh, you get extra bedroom?
I do. Come visit. So here's the other thing. Here, and I say this, and you will learn this about me over the course of today. I never say anything I don't mean. So when I say come and visit, Nate and I built our house because we love visitors. People we know, people we don't know. We don't care. Come and stay. So yes, come and visit anytime you want. It is Delaware. It's very flat. You won't know what to do with yourself because it's so flat. Did I mention it's flat? Sorry, Delaware is so flat, but it's beautiful. And I love the beach. I'm a mermaid. I think I was born a mermaid. So for me, that fills my soul. Coming to the mountains, I love it. It fills my soul differently being at the saltwater. But here's the thing, does all of this really matter? Do you think learning all of that about me matters? Yeah, it does. It absolutely matters. Yes. Because again, we get to connect now a little bit differently. You know something now about me that you didn't know 20 minutes ago, right? So that starts a conversation. It starts our relationship, whatever that relationship could be. It might end today. We might never ever talk again. But you might take some of what I say today into your next conversations or into how you're thinking about working with your clients, or when you're building your passion in your business, or when you're sitting at home and you're running your 4 online businesses and you're like, yeah, I'm living about 6%, I'm good. You know, but here's the thing, what it took for me was I needed to really define who I was. I mentioned that earlier, stripping away, but I needed to figure out what my core values were. What are my core values? And we think we know, but do we? And that's some of the work we're going to do today. So with the core values, you know, again, from a business perspective, you can talk about the trust or the goals or teamwork or innovation. There's all kinds of things that play into core values. And when we take a break here, I just kind of want you to start thinking about, what does your future look like? Where do you want to see yourself in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 15 years? After you're into retirement, whatever retirement means to you. Because sometimes people go into retirement and all that means is they're transitioning to the next phase of their working life. It just means retiring from one job and going to the next thing that brings them a different kind of joy. So what does that look like for you? And what's the path that you're going to take to get there? How are you going to walk down that path? What are the things that you need? What are the inputs that you need? We'll talk about that today. So again, you learned about me, but today is all about you. And so we're going to go on a little bit of a break here. So it's 10 o'clock. Let's do like 10 minutes, but on your break, we might do 15 because I want you to come back with 3 things, but we're going to play truth and two truths and a lie. So you're going to tell us 2 things that are true about yourself and 1 thing that's a lie. And then we're going to guess which one. Okay. So does that make sense to everybody? Everybody's like, oh, geez, work already. It's only 10. All right. So we will see you here at 10:15.
Can we call in help for this?
Absolutely. You certainly can. Phone a friend. I love it.
No, I've got some tea bags.
It's amazing. What sessions do you do?
Oh, it's not like we, maybe a few, I didn't, I don't know. When you're seeing is the end of. No.
How do we pause this?
I have no idea.
Oh, you don't have a second.
I don't ever use the video function on it. I just got the camera. I don't. Each copies.
Fine.
I said it's fun. I love it.
Would be something. They don't go something like that. I'm sure.
They just go down with things, and what did I get maybe more? We've got to tell you, like, we're closing the flower agency, it's like,
More than half.
that's ridiculous. It's so good. Wow. I think this would be, when I lived here, this would be nothing, it's exactly, it's nothing. People that, like, and I just think that's what I love. Yeah, it's just mistakes that they were. It's supposed to be like, it's not all in that.
Also.
Yeah.
It's.
Yeah.
Two pages now. Once they're early on, so it's like.
You know, I said to Nate last night, I was like, I would not surprise me if it gets canceled because of the beer tax, all the time. And he goes, listen, you're in Vermont. I was like, because in Delaware, the state needs to shut down. You know, kind of, yes, different states would make sense. Yeah, yeah. But I think I'll pull it. That's why I made the comment about pets earlier. I was like, oh, I'm shocked.
My dog said this is, and she goes through the bush.
I don't say anything with Dexter. He gets whatever he wants because he can dance it. Like, he is.
My dog talks like a husky, but it's not a husky.
Yeah.
She's like the synergy and rat terrier.
Okay.
Yeah, she's 24 pounds. Yeah.
That's what I wanted to, know first thought, I don't know, we have some kind
So
of.
she has a jacket that's custom with my fiance, so I'm just like, whoops, sorry.
Yeah, I love it. It's a little jacket she wears.
Love her. She's so cute.
So girly, the girls,
Yeah, Dexter is all boy. He's 82 pounds of boy.
Yeah.
And he is so. On Thanksgiving Day, we were in West Virginia. Was absolutely insane. Dexter out of the house and he runs. He's 6.5. Really not even coming out.
It was cold and snowy, right?
He was colder. It wasn't snowy, but he loved it.
Yeah.
You know, so. And I do throw the jobs. He's first time, like, he's a mom's voice. Now the mom's person. It's a lot, it takes a lot.
We like to like that, which characteristic.
Champagne Valley. Yeah. Does he live this way or no?
Down south.
Yeah. Yeah, it was,
Something.
yeah, really, I wish, I've never been to a relay for like before or since. Which I find out, like, and I went to probably 5 years in a row, but just, you know, my camping and just. It's like.
It's funny, because those connections I made, I mean, a lot more work than what I wanted to do. So my dream job would be to meet everyone. So I've got a board that was, and I work in education where some of my kids didn't have good projects, so I had a stack covered. Never any questions, anybody, hungry.
It is scheduled.
So, that would be my dream job, and maybe like, doing
too, I just think the rise.
that would be like homelessness in America. There's nobody talks about it.
Anyhow.
Nobody talks about it. And it exists everywhere. I travel all over the country. Like
Selling in this.
Las Vegas, New York City, DC. Nobody takes pictures of DC where 2 weeks away from the White House. It's homeless encampments on the side. Nobody talks about it. You don't see that.
I love serving people.
I was like,
Finally,
I've only been in DC a couple times, so last time I went like right before COVID, I was just like, what is happening?
that one state.
So.
It's true, and, we were just down in Portland area. And why do it, I think more so that I was. Oregon, and I was shocked within 7 years, 6 or 7 years, and it's me, now, homeless, that are very, unbelievable. Yeah, and it's like, but I actually love what you're talking about, because shining light on something that's such a problem within our country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, whether it be, you know, mental health addiction, homelessness, there are all kinds of. And hunger.
15 years ago.
It's
You know, and just before me, it started for you, and it hasn't worked.
So you should.
Retired. Education.
Something, I always look at all these things, and I'm just like, that's my foundation. That's why I like teaching, because I did hard emotional support in academics, but it was mostly putting these kids back together, to go home to their horrible home lives. So, and those are my kids now, like, so I have kids from 7 to 12 grade, and then 20s, and then into like 20s. So like, those are really kids.
It's our retired.
But I had.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But you made such a, like, you connected with them, and you saw them
Yeah.
beyond what others probably saw.
So that is,
I was doing like 10, 12.
that was like.
Okay, now this is just.
So your fiance is leaving and.
Most communities in
Already.
but the, everything went up, the area price went up, and the area happy, so I do with it.
Where were you doing?
Of course, you know. We didn't, so now we're back to Convnetion.
We've all had a day, whatever.
It's just like. One thing.
We don't have.
I have places, I know what to do, I just have to, and I can see it, it's like the fingers have like people come together. Yeah. That's how it's so.
Mala.
Yeah. What does he say?
Good work.
So much.
He said it.
Apparently. Okay. All right.
Oh, he does that. Well, I think it's, when we're home, we're just kind of like.
I think it means that you gotta tell people that there are true bars.
What?
What is that?
No, something. Says stop. Yes, yes. The first. And both. Right.
What? I said you really are coming.
Yes, it's awesome. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, yep, that's a good one. Yeah. Okay, thanks. Okay, that's good. All right, all right. Okay, love you. Oh, everybody's left the room now. Oh, no, there's Natasha's here. Okay, all right, thank you, Lovey. Okay, bye. That was hard. You are very cute. Did you see your playmate? Did you see that other Japanese? Stay with her. Yeah? How come you're so cute? How come you're so cute? Much cuter than my cat. Even about the same size as you. Yes. Just lower it out. As much as you can. Yes, and everything, don't you? Partner. Love the colors, really cute. How's the housebreaking going?
Good. She's had like 2, maybe 3 accidents. So she's done really, really well. She's confused now because we always got home to go out the same door, in the same door, and so she knows that your bell door, she like puts her nose on the bell. And I've shoveled this part of the yard that she could go into. So now she's like, she's like, oh, am I supposed to pee here or not?
Very cute. You heard about this respiratory disease that's going around? Yeah, there's some unknown respiratory disease that's like unfamiliar folks. It's causing it or how to prevent it.
I was part of China balloon that went over us. And it starts with that poison all over the country. I get many things for everybody. If they want to eat here. I just think it's good to know what our options are. I'm gonna make a really spread up this. So
We should order well before because last time we were here.
yeah,
Hour.
Yeah, I'm not gonna use
So.
I'm gonna see if I just need hot water. I know I said
Maybe you should, Karen, maybe you should offer that, to take orders and then we can place it and say we'll be down at noon.
yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea. I just went over down and I was like, oh,
That's a great idea.
people may not want to leave it. Hi, I got no news for everybody, not for everybody, but.
Yeah, take a look and we're gonna order. We're gonna order, before, so it's ready for us when we go down.
Oh. We'll have to do separate checks though, right? Because VPP is not paying for this, so.
Right.
I don't know how they-
Have to make that clear, I guess. Maybe we'll go down and ask
There's,
them.
I put one on the table.
Well, you don't have a lot to choose from, so that's good. Look at this. They're gonna deliver our lunch here if we order it?
I didn't ask.
It. I think they will, when you here, to give them an order early enough.
So I grabbed the menu from downstairs, if,
Yeah.
just in case, you know, you wanna eat from down from there.
Yeah, I probably will.
Probably.
Yeah. I probably will.
We're gonna fight back up the hill like it did to get popular. They found the road sort of, but the sidewalk was like treacherous.
Yeah.
I was like, ugh. You know, when you're like walking back
Yeah.
down the hill and then you started sliding and I'm like. Next door in the area.
So what part of what you were doing live in?
So do you know where the high school and the middle school is?
Yes.
We live at the bottom of the hill there in an apartment. Because we just moved. Because my fiance got a job as a principal,
Yeah,
so,
is it Legends right there too?
it's, we live like right near the co-op. And
Oh, okay.
That, like at the bottom there.
So my sister used to live, if you go up that hill, about not even a quarter of a mile before you get to the mobile. On the left, there's a road that goes out, that kind of goes behind high school. So she lived there for years. She sent them to me, but my other sister lives. If you go back to the interstate. And instead of taking, different amount of stairs and there, so instead of taking the way to go down to where you're going, we go the other way towards Bob.
Okay.
And she's literally.
I walk up that hill, all the way with my elder and back,
Wow.
because, well, not, I was when the weather was. Right now, I'm like, good.
I hear you. Yeah, my mom grew up there and, my dad, I think my dad grew up in Thetford,
I used to run cross country in that first, but
Yeah.
championship.
yeah. Yeah, I went to Thetford Academy, so I know exactly where you're at. Small town, and when my husband's family's from Prairie,
Okay, that's where Lake Maury is.
yes.
Yeah.
So his grandparents owned the Lake Morian golf club years ago.
Oh,
When Avery's took it over. So we have family all in there, but, he got a job up here when he was like 18. And but he was a plumber, so he was working in like the field,
Yeah,
Connecticut area and whatnot. And then when him and I got together, we were 22. They offered, actually Natasha's husband, Tom, offered him a job in the office as an engineer, because he went to school, he went to VPP.
yeah.
And he was like, do you want to move up to Burlington with me? And we've been dating for about a year, and I was like, heck yes, get me out of this photo. So we moved up here, and I don't know, a few years later, I met Natasha, Tom, and Natasha, together.
Yeah.
It's crazy, yeah, so we've been up here ever since, we love it.
Yeah.
Still has that small town kind of feel
Yeah.
that you get Burlington, and you know, you're close to Montreal.
I love Bristol. That's where my fiance is from.
Yeah.
Like, we live there and we have this beautiful house, huge backyard.
Yep.
And then like the dog, we run, do our own thing. Now we have to pay for the dog park.
Yeah,
We don't have a yard.
right.
And I'm like,
You live
So,
here now?
no, I live in White River Junction.
You go all the way through today? Not today.
No, I learned my lesson. I travel ahead of time. I came up yesterday for the Frank Compton at Jamie's house.
Oh, okay.
We were all there.
So you
and
stay
then
here in the house?
I stayed at the Marriott, yeah. Yeah. So, learned my lessons.
Yeah, it's.
40 really, solidified that I can actually do things ahead of time.
Holidays have really been a real bear for us. We don't really commit to saying, we'll be down to Christmas.
Yeah.
Because between here, as you know, there's a line between like,
Oh, yeah.
Montpelier, Berry,
Waterbury and
what, all that.
Yeah.
And so we don't commit. We just say, we'll do our best.
Yeah.
And then,
Well, you're also in Milton, right?
yes.
Which, so I lived in Fairfax, and also up there, there's a line there too, when you get above kind of that, right in that Milton area, it's like depending, 7, I don't know what exit you're on, but exit 7, 16, 17,
Yeah.
18, yeah. Yeah, just can get a little bit treacherous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta just.
I think it's a little bit flatter or something up there. I don't know. Snow drifts and.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love it. I love it up here. And it's hard because. I crave the ocean. My husband is from North Carolina, his father is in this here. And so we're headed to North Carolina. I have looked. I'm gonna go down to, no, do you come first?
Yeah.
Is it included in this? So he's from North Carolina, so last, it's been here for like, right after COVID, we took the kids to North Carolina. Rented the house down there for a week, we showed them where to go. And yeah, and then I'm gonna hopefully place the order.
Oh, okay.
Now we're making it a tradition, we're spending that day.
Like the outer right?
So we're staying on North Off Beach, which is where. No. So what's Stone Soup? It's just, it's a lot of like, maybe. Yeah. They have like, you get for the board or something, these sandwiches or whatever. They lights, yeah. Hot things, good salad, like you could do it. That's right. Run up to Church Street, run up to.
I don't even remember how much was it.
We want some more.
Okay, that's it, anything to drink?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, I think I.
Oh, I am.
They-
You make yes, I do, yeah. Yeah. Just one for you. Yeah, I just- Oh, no. It's the show it's not gonna be, I do this all the time.
So you can't say that to me because I'm gonna start with you. I have a lot of them. I actually find this one to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah, what I just did with them recently is I have 25 employees that I manage. And I paired them up and I gave them like, oh, I did this game. I paired them up and I said they have to talk to each other and share two lives of the truth with each other.
Mhm.
And then one work related tip.
Ah.
Of any sort. And then we actually went over to a staff meeting, so they each, and every time I have a meeting like this with them, I pair them up with someone else, so.
Mhm.
These were all virtual, I think that's wonderful. It gives them a chance to really get to know each other, interact with each other, and the feedback is very, yes, I'm like, wow, so, like.
Yes.
They have a half an hour, they take 15 minutes, and they learn different things, like last time, we did this, they had to learn 3 things about each other that they have in common, or 2 things they have in common and 1 thing that they don't.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
they
yeah.
Share that in the group. What? So it's really awesome.
I love it.
to do that.
That's cool. All right,
All right, 2 truths.
we are going to get started in 1 minute.
Oh, no. No. Okay. Burger.
Well, good, sir.
Anything not.
Hey there.
On it? Those numbers.
How are you? Yes.
Actually continuing in.
Oh, good.
Next year's on Kimberly.
Oh. Oh.
Me too. I think all some consultancy stuff and I was hoping I could eventually do that. So.
Welcome, welcome. Mhm. All right. We are gonna get started back up. And I hope you all, I love that we had somebody do phone a friend for 2 truths and a lie. And I won't make you go first, though. All right. Where shall I start? Huh, I don't
You're not gonna get it.
No, I am going to have, are you good to go?
I was gonna see what other people said, because I missed your instructions.
Gotcha.
2 truths and a lie.
2 truths and a lie, and then we're gonna guess. So you're ready to go, Leah. You know you are. You're like, I am good. I did my homework. I love it. All right, go ahead.
So number one would be I work at Abishon Hardware for Gens.
Okay,
Number two would be I lived in Boulder, Colorado for a while.
okay.
Number three would be I sell photos at craft shows in Vermont.
Ooh, okay,
All
so.
one very real things.
Right, so Abishon Hardware Jens works there, lived in Boulder, Colorado for a period of time, sells photography at craft shows in Vermont. Which one's the lie?
The last one.
Two.
Number two, so lived in Boulder. How many think that she never lived in Boulder? Okay, a few of you. How many think she does not sell her photography at craft shows in Vermont? I don't think she does. That's gonna be mine. And live, Abishon Hardware part-time. That's the lie. Okay, what's the lie?
Number two lived in Boulder, Colorado.
Oh, darn it. Okay, yeah. So why did you pick Boulder? I'm curious.
I have friends that, well, they don't live there now, but they used to live in, Denver
Mhm.
area. And I just, Boulder is one of my favorite places. There's a beer company there too, and I've been there, so I just picked it.
So you want to live in Boulder at some point is what I'm hearing,
Really?
you know? Okay. All right. Folks online, are you playing? Anybody's playing?
Yeah, I'll play.
All right, excellent.
Is this Katie?
Yep.
All right, Katie, go
Um,
I
ahead.
think someone's gonna have to also translate, because we can't. hear,
Yes,
so.
I can. Go ahead, Katie.
I am adopted. I've been arrested. And I got out of an abusive marriage.
Okay, adopted, has been arrested, got out of an abusive marriage. Ooh,
I know.
I don't believe she's ever been arrested.
I'm gonna go with the rest.
The rest of it.
I'm going with adopted. And again, I don't know Katie. So Katie, so how many people say arrested is the lie?
Yeah.
Most of the room is saying that that's the lie. How many say adopted is the lie? Oh, two of us. Okay, and how many say got out of an abusive relationship is the lie? Nobody. All right, Katie, which one is the lie?
I have never been arrested.
Ah, all right.
I can't imagine her ever being arrested.
I love it. Okay. All right, anybody else online gonna play? They might not be back yet. All right, so we're gonna go to the back table.
Oh, me?
Yes.
Okay,
Take this down.
two truths and a lie.
You didn't do your homework.
No, I haven't. I hate maple syrup.
Okay.
I was born in Vermont. And I photographed ZZ Top.
Okay, so hate maple syrup, photographs, or wait, the second one was born in Vermont, third was photograph ZZ Top. How many think that hating maple syrup is a lie?
I am.
How many people think born in Vermont is the lie? How many
Jamie,
people
you're-
think
you're
photographing
confident
ZZ
that-
Top is the lie? Nobody, okay, which is the lie?
I was born in Vermont.
So you're not born in
I
Vermont?
was not.
Woo, I'm so proud, Jamie.
You
You
said
and me.
it earlier, and I was like.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't remember.
I was from, but I was born in Vermont,
Where were you born?
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, all right.
I'd say I have.
Yeah.
It's a brief stay.
All right, excellent. You are next.
Okay, I once photographed a billionaire and their newborn baby.
A what?
Billionaire.
A billionaire?
A billion.
With a billionaire and newborn baby. I once photographed a NHL hockey player. I once photographed what was my third one?
Oh, well, we know that's a lie.
I once photographed from nearby plane from plane to plane.
A what? Wait, what was that last
Two planes.
one? Uh-huh.
I photographed the other plane.
Oh, cool. All right, so the first one was photographed a billionaire and their baby. Second was photographed
NHL player.
an NHL player. You're in Vermont, pretty close to Canada. I don't know, that's a lie. And then you photographed a plane from another plane.
Yep.
All right, how many think the billionaire is the lie? How many, oh, we've got somebody that does. I think the billionaire is a lie too. I'm going with that one. How many think the NHL player is a lie? Oh, we have a couple. And then, John LeClaire is from St. Albans, guys.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's who we did. And then, plane from another plane, that's a lie. All right, so which one is the lie?
NHL player.
All right, how many is that all right so far? Yeah, you. Okay, so you want Jamie on your team. So far, she has everything correct. This is great. All right, so next.
I once photographed the Dalai Lama. And I have written 4 low content books for Amazon recently. And I have to say a third one. In the next couple of years, I'll be making $100,000 a month or more from one of my businesses.
Okay, so the first is photograph the Dalai Lama. Second is now it went out of my head. I'm so sorry.
4 bucks.
Oh, the 4 books. Sorry, 4, you said low content books for Amazon.
Yeah.
It's pretty specific. And then third is making $100,000 plus monthly from one of her businesses soon coming soon.
Coming up in the next couple of years.
All right. How many believe the Dalai Lama is the lie?
Oh,
I'm gonna say yes.
Oh, you.
I'm gonna say yes.
Uh-huh.
Kind of elusive.
So, how many say the 4 low content books on Amazon? I'm gonna say that one. Cause I think it's more than 4. And how many, say the $100,000 per month from one of her businesses? All right, so let's see if Jamie keeps her streak here. You right? So which one is the lie?
You have to look to see which one the lie is. It's because they're all true. I pooped and I didn't put up a lie.
Ah. Yeah, I want to hear.
That already, a family knew the Dalai Lama and I invited them. And the only requirement was that I didn't, they kept the negatives and yeah, that was that. Wow. Okay. And officially we got that. Get the round barn, basically. He was. Okay.
Were you nervous? Like that must have been like.
At the time, no, I didn't realize how cool it was. I mean, I didn't even.
I think that's how it happens.
That's cool. That's really cool.
All right. I can't wait for this because again, phone a friend here. So who did you call first of all? Like, that's what I want to
I
know.
called my husband, he didn't answer, and then I just happened to call one of my children, and all the other children were together, which is a miracle. Pancake breakfast, I know.
I love it.
Okay, so, my first one is I've traveled to every continent.
Okay.
My second one is Bernie Sanders appointed me to my job. And the third one is I've walked with lions.
Oh, geez. Okay. So the first one was been to every continent. Second is Bernie Sanders appointed you to your job. The third is walked with the lions. How many believe the first one, been to every continent? That is the lie. I'm sorry, that one's the lie.
I'm gonna go with that.
That's the one I'm going with too.
Antarctica is why.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking too. So the second is Bernie Sanders appointed her to her job. Okay, third is walked with lions.
Oh, man, you guys are good. That was my kids that told me to say travel to every continent. I'm gonna tell them they were wrong.
So, okay, so with I'm curious about all of that, but, so tell us about your lion experience.
For my twins' 16th birthday, we went to Africa, and one of the things I wanted to volunteer. This is really important to me, and we went and we walked with lions, which I can, if anybody wants to talk to me about it, they can, but I was mortified to learn that actually these, and I did a lot of research before I went, because Bernie Sanders appointed me to my animal control position in Burlington, when he was mayor. I did a lot of research on these lions, and I was told that they are being raised to reintegrate back into the safaris and these places, and then I learned that possibly they could have been raised to sell for trophy animals for hunting. And I was mortified. Like humbled my whole world. But it was a really incredible experience in Zimbabwe to walk along with these lions every day for 2 weeks.
Wow. Wow.
It's amazing.
All right.
It's been amazing.
Kimberly.
Let's see. 2 truths and a lie. I performed at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival in theater at the age of 18. I survived sepsis, and I have 4 brothers.
Okay, so performed at the Edinburgh, what?
Fringe Festival.
Fringe Festival?
Fringe Festival Theater.
Okay, Edinburgh Fringe Festival Theater. Second, survived sepsis. And third, 4 brothers. How many believe the performing in Edinburgh is a lie?
I'm gonna go with that.
That one, okay. The second is survived sepsis is a lie. And the third is the brothers, 4 brothers. Most people are going with that one, which is the lie.
You guys are good. I don't have 4 brothers. 2 little sisters.
Two little oh, you went for brothers and sisters. Okay, I love it. So tell us about your performance.
Well, when I was 18, I lived somewhat locally. I grew up in Killington, Woodstock area, went to Woodstock in high school, was very active in theater. When I was 18, we were chosen to go as a group. We had kind of done a demo and a group audition of sorts, and we got picked to the US in the Edinburgh Fringe Festival as part of the American High School Theater Festival. So we performed, we took a show over, we did 2 weeks of what I call working vacation, because we did rehearsals as well as performances, and then we got to have daytime fun trips to islands and got to see all this amazing stuff we did there. So it was a transformative experience. It was yeah, so that was a highlight for sure. And then as part of some of the health stuff that they deal with, I get recurrent infections. And so September 2021, I was on antibiotics for UTI and thought, okay, well, this will be like everything else. Just take those, feel better, no big deal. But unfortunately, as it got further into the week, by about day 3 of being on the antibiotics, I was feeling really weird one night, and I said, okay, you better take me to the hospital. So my husband is packing me up into the car at 11 p.m. at night. We drive down to Alice Beck Day. And they basically said, wow, well, you're really lucky that you listened to your body, because you had to come in and you had come in later, you may not be here. So I was admitted, they treated me for about 2 to 3 days, and then finally got to leave. So I was really happy walking to the hospital in 2 weeks, because I almost didn't.
Oh,
Wow. So that was also transformative, just in a different way.
wow. What hospital were you in?
Alice Beck Day over in Lebanon.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's where I was born.
Was it okay? I figured it better now, but
That's where I grew up.
okay.
That's, I get that Burlington is, everybody comes here, but I was at Natasha's house a couple weeks ago, and somebody was down in Fairleigh.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, why is this kid, like, never, I have a marriage in Fairleigh. Did you really?
Yeah, that's what she got.
That's down there, means.
Connection.
Okay.
You're up.
All right. I have no sense of smell. My middle name is Madison, and I have spearfished and eaten lionfish.
Okay, so
What's the last one?
she has no sense of smell. Her middle name is Madison, and she has speared fish and eaten lionfish. Speared and eaten lionfish. All right, so how many people believe that she has no sense of smell? May I ask a caveat question? Before or after COVID?
Not COVID related.
Not
I would
COVID
say.
related, okay. So no sense of smell is a lie.
Wait, no, not, go with Madison, sorry.
Okay, middle name is Madison is the lie.
I'm gonna go with that.
I'm going with that one too. And the third one, speared and eaten lionfish. That's the lie. All right, what's the lie?
Madison.
Madison, okay, so what is your middle name?
Caitlin.
Caitlin, okay, so, my gosh, so lionfish, tell us the story.
Yes, 7 years ago, my husband and one of my dear friends and I went on a 1.5 week sailing trip in the Bahamas. And they are, what do you call it? They are an invasive species there. So they encourage you to kill whatever lionfish that you can find. And while they are poisonous to eat, my friend is a master sailor and was able to cut them up on the back of the deck and make us fish tacos. And then what we didn't eat, we threw in the water and the sharks came and ate it. So
That's cool. So I'm curious why you chose Madison as the lie and not another name. Where did Madison come from?
I made it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nope, that's
It
fair.
just seemed like a Vermontese common, growing up, I think a few of my friends had Madison somewhere in there.
Yes, gotcha. It's my goddaughter's name.
All
That's
right.
why I was asking. So, because sometimes you find out as much about somebody with the lie as you do with the truth, right? Because you're like, why did you choose that? Like, why did you choose Boulder? You know, that type of thing. So, oh, I have to do mine. I haven't done mine. All right, so, I like Aunt Jemima better than Vermont maple syrup. So you've already learned quite a bit about me. So, I performed off Broadway and I already told you that. There's lots of things I've told you already. Okay, so yeah, Aunt Jemima over Vermont maple syrup. I performed off Broadway and my favorite color is pink, which is the lie. How many say the Aunt Jemima is the lie?
The lie.
I think it's pink.
Yeah, it's pink.
Well,
Well,
she doesn't think there, she paints blue.
Yeah.
So it's definitely.
Oh,
Aunt Jemima is the lie. Okay, so pink is the lie. I actually do like Aunt Jemima better than Vermont maple syrup, but it's nostalgia because my dad liked it. So, you know, it's that. I know, don't kick me out of Vermont. And like all of the stuff. I know. Right, it truly is. I know, and my husband's family has down near White River Junction, they have a maple syrup farm and that's what they do. I mean, yeah.
I grew up on it too.
Yeah.
That's why I hate it. When your dad and uncles only feed you maple syrup on snow all day long, you don't like it.
Yeah, so the true story, so we got married down here at the Echo Center. And my dad came up from Lancaster with his girlfriend and and Nate's family, and like I mentioned, they're all White River Junction area. One has a maple syrup farm and it's a big farm family, and there's a lot of them. And they gave my dad a gift of a gallon of maple syrup. My dad took one bite and was like, oh, this is great. He ended up giving it to my husband and was like, you can take this home with you. I'm like, oh, this is bad. This is just bad. So anyway, welcome to Lancaster County. All right. So did you all learn something about each other that you didn't know? What'd you say? Oh, that's right. I skipped your table. Oh my, that's because you were just being a brat. I'm just kidding. All right. You're going last now. Natasha. Natasha, go ahead.
Alright, so mine are, I was in a horror movie.
Oh.
I was a personal fitness trainer for 3 years. And I was the first female ski instructor to do a helicopter jump at a local ski resort.
Wow. Okay. She was in a horror movie. What was the second one? You were
A personal fitness trainer.
personal
for 3
fitness
years.
trainer for 3 years. And the third is she was the first
Female
ski instructor to do a helicopter jump at a local ski resort. Interesting. Okay, how many think horror movies a lie?
I think so, but I hope not.
I'm not voting.
I'm a fitness instructor for 3 years. I'm saying that's a lie because I think it was either longer or shorter than 3 years. I'm gonna say longer. And then, and you raised your hand for that too, right? Okay. And then the fourth is the helicopter ski jump.
That's my vote, yeah.
All right, what's the lie?
The lie is the fitness training.
So,
I got my certification, but I actually never started training. So
all right, so what horror movie were you in?
I was in the movie called Sleepaway Camp. It
Mhm.
was filmed in like 1986 in upstate New York. There's a whole cult that follows this, so definitely look it up.
Oh, I'll look it up.
It's
I'm kidding.
the easiest movie ever.
Movie nights and
I was gonna say, evidently we're going to Marriott.
Probably 7 or 8 scenes.
We'll have a show in America later tonight.
Sleepaway Camp, Natasha's in it.
You can, you might be able to find that on Netflix. You can definitely, yeah, if you like, you look up Sleepaway Camp, I like Facebook.
Over lunch, we'll be doing a showing of it right here. I love it.
I was like 15 years old, 15, 16 years old, something like that.
That's awesome.
The name of the movie again?
Sleepaway Camp.
You can watch it on,
Watch on Chicago.
That's fun. I've actually seen it, so.
Have you?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, now you have to see it again, see what you can find.
Yeah, now see if I can
There's at
find it.
least- There's at least 3 scenes where you can definitely, like right there in front of the camera.
There's 4 seasons
Oh, you
to
can
it.
watch it.
There's four other movies that go off.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's busy.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
They've done parodies to it as well.
Definitely
Yes.
see it.
Mhm.
That's what I'm going to do.
That's so funny. All right,
86, she's seen it as well.
last but not least.
The procrastinator. Okay, I've been married for 16 years and I just learned that I have a sister-in-law.
You learn what?
That I have a sister-in-law.
Okay.
A sister-in-law.
Oh, sister-in-law, sorry.
Okay,
I have waited on Steven Tyler.
okay.
And I have 6 toes on 1 foot.
All right, so number one, she's been married for 16 years and just learned she has a sister-in-law. She has waited on Steven Tyler. And the third is she has 6 toes on 1 foot. So how many believe she didn't know she had a sister-in-law for the past 16 years? How many think that's a lie? So is that a lie or a
That
truth?
could be oh wait, no, it's true. Never mind.
That's true, okay. How many believe that, or how many think that it's a lie that she waited on Steven Tyler? All right, and then the 6 toes on 1 foot. I don't know my answer yet. I'm going with Steven Tyler. So, all right, what's the lie?
So I do not have 6 toes.
Just, I want to bring everything.
Extra wide move. I was well here.
All right, so which one would you like to tell us about? We're both.
So Steven Tyler, my son is 18 years old, we're still at the house, trying to get a job and adult, like everybody else. I worked at Louis Lou's.
Oh, love that. Yeah.
And Steven Tyler and his group came in, few of his team members, whatever, and the girl I was working with, it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so it was like low tide, right, like nobody's there. And she was like, oh, he's such an asshole, do you wanna take him? And I was like, sure. Like, and I loved Jamie's Got a Gun, I love, or Jamie or whatever, and I loved his music, but in the moment, like you had said with the Dalai Lama, it didn't really like, there was no like fandom, whatever. And they left me $20 to them. I don't know if it's because I sucked or if they were just like cheap or whatever, but yeah, they were very nice. And yeah, Michael J. Fox came in as well. He was a pretty regular guy, and Captain Kangaroo. Yeah, I need to wait on that, but I did.
There you go. All right, so did y'all learn something about each other? Did you all find connection with each other in different ways?
Yes.
Or somebody would say something and what I call pop rocks. You're like, oh, wait, oh, that happened, something like that happened to me, or wait, because I have a story about Steven Tyler, which I do. I mean, it's all these pop rocks are coming up, right? But these are all these things that are kind of buried from the experiences that you've had, from the journeys that you've had, from the work that you've done, and it's all kind of there. And there's a lot of stuff that you've done that's just, it might not ever come back up. But the things that do you get a little bit excited, a little bit giddy when you're talking about this? You're like, man, I haven't thought about this for years, right? Like, when's the last time you thought about waiting on Steven Tyler?
It's been a long time, and honestly, to me, it's not, it's a highlight, or, along the road, it's a highlight. But it's not something I really share anymore, but I think it's exciting for people to be like, wow, what was that experience like? And then it kind of makes you kind of go back and.
See, and what was interesting is when you talked about that, I went to my story about Steven Tyler, but what I watched was when you were talking about the restaurant you worked at, you turn around and looked and say, hey, you know it. Like, I mean, without saying it. But again, there's all these connection points. And a lot of that goes into like who you are as people, right? And what you've experienced and how you kind of all connect together, because we're all interconnected. So again, today is all about you. So we're going to do a lot of these types of things today as we work together and have some of these conversations. But I do. All right, good. We're in good time.
Plus, the lunch will be ready for us at 12:15.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
And it's credit card for a room.
Are we eating up here? Are you eating up here or are you eating downstairs?
Then, she can answer us in downstairs.
No, that's great. Thank you for doing that. Appreciate it. All right, so I do want to talk a little bit about values. And because again, what did I say today, right? We're talking about values and how do you run a values-based business? So it would only behoove us to talk about values a little bit. So values versus priorities. Very, very different things. But how many of you think you probably spend more of your time on what you prioritize versus what you value? We get laughter. I love it. How many of you think you do that in your business as well? Right? I love it. I've just got laughter. I'm just gonna record your laugh because it's fantastic. Let's talk a little bit about the difference. So again, and we don't have to read this whole thing, but when you think about a priority, it's basically something that because of a fact or condition, something that's going on, that it makes it important. It's treated as important in that moment. I love that the safety of the country takes priority over every other matter. Conversation we had earlier. Should that really be the priority of our country? I don't know. We were talking about homelessness earlier. Maybe that should be a priority. But the priority is what somebody deems kind of really important in that moment based on outer circumstances, right? Other things that are going on. So like, if your house is really, really messy, does it become a priority to clean it up or to have it cleaned? Maybe you don't do it, or, oh, I don't know. It's what, March? Taxes, they a priority for anybody right now?
For my accountant, they are.
For your accountant, right? Do you value your taxes?
Yeah.
You value them too. That's a core value for you?
Yeah,
Tell me more about this.
I like mine.
Okay, all right.
Taxes are fine.
You get it back. If you don't, you're like, no.
I have to pay quarterly taxes.
Ah, there you go.
Like, it's-
So, but here's the thing. With a value, It's your principles and your standards. It's what you steep your world in. And I would like to also suggest that your values that you have as an individual, your business can also have values, right? And so it's been a very interesting journey for me when I work with solopreneurs, small businesses, mid-cap businesses, Fortune 1 or 500 companies. Where do you think you can lean into values a little bit more and actually live them? The smaller ones, right? But what we're starting to see is a trend in some of these larger companies where they actually start caring about their people. Wow, what a concept, right? Which means that they're starting to really look at what do the people value? What is at the heart of their business? You know, remember I said that I help businesses find their heart and people find their passion. And part of finding the heart of the business is really understanding the core values of the why. And so we're going to talk about values today, and specifically values around your business, because especially when you run your own business, your core values in your personal life aren't necessarily the same core values of your business. They might overlap, they definitely align, but they might not be the same. And that's okay, because again, you as a core person are who you are, and you ebb and flow and shift and change just like your business does, because your work ebbs and flows and shifts and change based on what you want to do, or the knowledge that you have, or how you pull together certain passions. You know, again, the pop rocks that come. And I'm going to take our conversation earlier. I watched, like, your stream of consciousness was so great when you're like, I like education, and then I want to do this, and then if I had my dream job, I'd probably be doing this, and it was just this building. So that's going to change, right? So looking at the core values of the business you have right now, or the business you want to build, that's what we're really going to look at today. So when you think about your business, so put your business hat on right now. How many of you feel like you go through a little bit of this, where you're like, okay, I'm kind of on this path and it kind of goes around? How many of you remember the comic strip Family Circus? Yeah, so some of you do. So in the comic strip Family Circus, Billy is one of the children. And Billy is kind of this, very fun, lighthearted child that can never seem to find his way to go from point A to point B in a linear way. So they would show comic strips about him doing this and going around and riding his bike and stopping over here and doing all of this, kind of all over the place. How many of you feel that way about your business? That it's kind of all over the place, depending on what the day is, right? Okay. That's normal. Just so you know, you're human. That's okay. So the reality, though, is it's really about how you spend and align your time. Okay. So time is a commodity. Time is a really big deal. How often, or have you ever been like, wow, where did the time go? I was working on something and I started that 3 hours ago and I thought it was going to take me 15 minutes. Ever happen?
Yeah, all the time.
All the time? Okay. And how often have you said, wow, I thought this was going to, take me a few hours and it really took me 5 minutes to do? No, that's like a never right here. So if you think about it, though, you have 7 days, 24 hours in a day, 168 hours in a week, and 728 hours in a month, which means that in 1 year, this is the number of hours that you have. So why does that matter? Who cares? Well, you have a finite amount of time to do the things that you want to do, and making sure that you're accomplishing the things that you want to do. And don't you want to be passionate about the work that you're doing? Don't you want to be excited about the work that you're doing every day? Yeah. So let's talk about a day. So you have 24 hours in a day, and the average person sleeps 7 hours, 50 minutes. How many of you sleep on average 8 hours? No? Okay. I'm a 4-hour person kind of girl, so I get some of that time back. Some people need to sleep 10 hours. My best friend has to sleep 11 hours, or she is the worst human being in the world to be around, period. So she loses a little bit of time, but this is on average. And then people work 8 hours and 40 minutes. That's also a joke to me, but On average, that's what people in the US work. How many of you work more hours than that in a day? Sometimes, depends on the day. Okay, and remember, this is over 7 days a week. So it could be that you work 56, or let's say 9 hours times 5, you work 45 hours in a 5-day period, take the weekend off. You know, but this is average, which means you have 7.5 hours left to do life, other life stuff that's not business. So when you break it down that way, I always find it kind of interesting, because you looking at this, and we're gonna do a little exercise around this, it's gonna be a lot of fun, but how does that resonate with you? 1/3 of your life is sleeping, 1/3 of your life is working, and 1/3 of your life is living life. Seem accurate? Seem like maybe you want to balance that a little bit differently? Maybe?
Doesn't feel like that.
It doesn't feel like that,
Feel
okay?
like that. I mean, you say the numbers like that, and I feel like, personally, I feel like I've got maybe 2 hours to live life.
Mhm.
Cause,
Yeah, because the other 5 are things, and
yeah, I mean, it
Watch
feels
it.
like they would,
like,
unexpected.
yeah,
Unexpected phone calls, or unexpected visitors, or unexpected, like, oh, I spilled this, or I just dropped the groceries, and pasta cost about it, or, oh, the dog just had diarrhea, and it's like, all those little, takes up all of these different
Mhm.
things.
Yeah, which is part of the living life, right? That life experience doesn't mean you're living, it's part of life. So a little bit different. So, and that's the thing, you don't ever want to get so busy making a living that you forget to make a life. And that's really, really important. So the next exercise we're going to go into and do together is, I want you to think about a day in the life of you. And I want you to write down, and I'm going to hand this out, all the things that you do and how much time it takes you to do said things. And you can take one day. I have it here, what it ends up being in a week, because sometimes you just do something each week, right? But I want you to take some time. I'll give you a couple of pages, because I don't know how much you do. So again, you're writing the things that you do in a day, whatever it is, break it down as detailed as you possibly can.
But everything is different in my day.
Okay, so that's why we do have a weekly thing, so that's okay.
But
So-
the weeks are different. And the answers.
So tell me a little bit more about that as I'm walking around. Because we'll let this out.
Between what I do for my children, for my household, for my pets, for my husband, for my job, and for the house. It's different. Every day.
So. Like caretaking, right? Is caretaking part of it? Or feeding animals?
You know? I'll look at your sheet, that's good.
We'll start with the easy things that you know that you do. Kind of need like this.
What is that, how deep in the weeds do we go, like, wake up, brush your teeth, comb your hair, like, up, like, just to get, just from the moment you get out of bed, the moment you do your first task, or it just happens fast? You want it, here, you're gonna report it, is that your-
You want to get as detailed as you can. What do you do? What do you do each day? Or each week? Thank you. You're welcome. Just think about your activities, and once you start writing. I mean, I'm giving you some, I don't know how much you do or don't do, you don't need to use them all.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, yeah.
And you can talk to each other too, it's okay, you don't have to be silent. Feed off of each other. But this is gonna take some time as you think through it, for sure.
For the people virtually, maybe I can show them the sheet, or at least read it. So we have one column that says activity, the next one says daily time spent, and the next one says weekly time spent. Okay, doing it, that's what we're doing.
And one of the things you might wanna do is write down the things that you do and then go back and give it a time allocation. Sometimes that's a little bit easier.
Well, I spend too much time at the dog park.
Is it too much time? I mean,
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah. Not too good, how's yours? Cutoff is noon. The actor cutoff is noon.
No, not that here, situation.
People's choice, sorry.
That's right.
I've not, I can
Well, you cut, you just last night, you
only the first. the first year that we started, 2017. And then I stopped because I wasn't being productive, but I could do it at lunch once I had my laptop back. Want to text it, you know. I wanted to ask you about the silver phone stuff. I had asked you a question last week about something, and you said no. But how is this? What scores that are added together? You might want to check. I think you're being a trickster, but. I think math was,
Hey, I'm pretty good at math.
so if I have a whole bunch of minutes.
Yeah.
What do I do divided by how many hours is?
Sixty.
Huh?
Divided by 60.
Divided by how many?
60 minutes to an hour.
That's, okay, that's what I was thinking, but I'm not an artist. Anyways.
So like, well, I'm old, let's go. I had hours coming during the week.
Oh, okay. I know, like, I wouldn't want my week.
So I have to reduce some of what I do here. Sometimes if we're overexciting ourselves by about 3 years.
We can talk about that. That's a great question.
Does sleep, we need to put sleep in.
Absolutely. Do you, well, let me ask, do you sleep certain days? Do you sleep up?
I do sleep.
Yes, then yes.
This is an activity.
If you, well, then I would say, you know, on average, weeks, how often do you sleep?
4 or 5.
So write that down. Yeah. Yeah. Cause we're all different, you know, so you do you, you know. I slept 3 to 4 hours my entire life, and that's that way, you know, that's just, it's hereditary for me. People think I'm crazy, I'm like,
No,
it's what I sleep, it's what I do, exactly. Yeah.
Well, because, I mean, I don't do errands every day, but.
But on a weekly
Yeah, I
basis,
know.
correct, yeah, that's why we have weekly there, cause that can be tough,
Yeah.
yep. Don't worry about the time right now, I'll just, yeah, I would say just write it down, allocate the time, because we'll go through a little bit of time exercise together for sure. Because exactly what you're talking about is exactly the ha-ha. See now, 100 hours of job.
We get what she wants.
This is proving to be hard for people.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not so much. Your ducks in a row. Sometimes it's nice to be really firm with that too.
I don't have to make dinner anymore, so that's a time saving.
Yeah.
Every day, really. Dinner at least.
It's that darn sleep that takes up most of the time.
It's true. No, so Jen, my best friend Jen runs a theater. And when she has, leading up to it, so she has a show today, leading up to the show, she doesn't sleep. What's gonna happen the week following? She's gonna sleep, she needs 11 hours a day. She's gonna be sleeping for days. And she has 3 kids, and her one son's schizophrenic, like it's, so all of these things, you know, all intertwined. I love when there's the mic drop, pens down, I'm done.
Now if I can understand what I wrote, so I don't know.
And that's okay. You're the only one that has to know.
Yeah, it was pretty boring.
And,
It's pretty boring. Well, that's what I'm here for now. And actually, I don't know that I've ever had anybody say that. That's really funny. I'm gonna say you have a fiance and a dog, and you live in Vermont and you just moved. I'm gonna say it's not boring. It just might not be as eclectic as it once was.
Yeah, I stopped planning weddings, so that saved a lot of time too, so like, you know, I gotta figure that out, but it's not on my agenda yet.
Mhm.
That was a big time suck.
Mm. Do me a favor, when you think you're done, just raise your hand and make sure that I see it, and that way I'll take stock in it. And again, you've got plenty of time. Normally, this exercise takes about half an hour, and you're about 10 minutes in.
I'm done, I'm sticking with it.
There you go. All right.
So I just found out that my, well, I guess she'll be my aunt when I'm married, she's playing tonight at the Marriott.
Oh, how great.
Yeah.
Great is fun.
Well, my fiance knew that, he lives up here, but yeah.
Playing.
I think she sings, and I don't know what else they do. So, if I'm staying there tonight, I guess I'm gonna have dinner with Michelle. No, or like, not tonight, but I don't know how late they go.
which one is the Marriott?
Right there. Yeah, yeah.
So the Hotel Vermont is also considered a Marriott, and they do performances there, so you might want to find out which one specifically.
I'm pretty positive it's the one thing I should check.
Only because Hotel Vermont usually has, like, in their little fireplace.
Yep.
Performances there, but
They had one last night at my hotel,
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
so I assume it's there, but I
Yeah.
should double check.
I haven't stayed at the Marriott you're staying at since my wedding.
Math involved.
Oh, that's all right, we'll figure it out together. I promise.
Yeah, I used to have to drive an hour to work, and now I work from home, so that's, I'm like, that was a big time suck. I was like, I used to always feel like in the car. Just roll over, go to the office, and you're good.
It's hard work. You need to work this.
It's like, oh, the dog needs to go, great.
All right, so I think everybody has raised their hand. So let's talk about some things. So how hard was that? Hard or easy? Easy? What any reason?
I would say it's hard
Hard, okay. Tell me why it was hard.
to think about the things I do
Ah,
and then how many hours Yeah, I was way over the 160.
How many others were over the 168 when you first added it up? And you had to go and revamp it.
I didn't add it up.
Sarah was.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So tell me some of the things you wrote down. What is it you do? You do nothing?
The good things or the things that I want to do more of?
Right.
What did you write down? What are the things you do?
Spent a lot of time doing homework. I'm taking 3 classes right now.
Ah. Homework, okay, yep. What, how many, I'm curious, how many hours?
I probably spend at least 3 to 4 hours a day.
3 to 4
working
hours.
on stuff. I mean, it depends on the day, because I do work one day a week right now, at dental office, so I'm assisting Dr. Schultz off 1 day a week, but. Most of my other days is filled with, just one
Studying.
for school.
Yeah, it's a lot. What else? What else do people do?
I make pies,
Ah, favorite pie to make is?
blueberry.
Oh, I love you.
So I'm looking around and I'm not seeing any
Oh.
pies sitting.
Either way.
I'm not seeing any pies sitting at any tables in here.
Well,
Okay, how many hours do you spend doing that?
But it's 2 hours a day, only once a week.
Okay, yep. Got it. What else do people do?
I spend a lot of time, I have a 7-year-old at home, so I spend a lot of time kid managing.
Kid managing,
Yes.
yep, okay. So how many of you wrote down shower?
Oh, I did it.
Yeah, okay, good. So you all bathe. This is good. This is
Yeah.
good.
I didn't
How many? So, and it's funny because you picked up right away on the weight. Are we going into detail? So how many time or, how much time did you put down for brushing your teeth every day?
So I put down like 15 minutes just for the time I like roll out of bed until I start something. So I get up, I go pee, I go brush my teeth, I brush my hair, put it in a ponytail, whatever, put something on besides my pajamas. About 15 minutes.
Okay. All right.
I just
So-
said personal hygiene,
Personal hygiene. Okay. And how much time did you put down for that?
about 5 minutes a day.
Okay. Well, hey, we all have our things.
Your look was like,
Okay. Well, because I was gonna poke at it a little bit because I'm
Oh.
like 5 minutes to put toothpaste on a toothbrush, brush your teeth, brush your hair. That's gonna take probably 5 minutes, and I suspect showering takes longer than that.
yeah, so I said, because I shower every other day, if everybody wants to know my personal habits, what about 2 hours a week?
2 hours a week, okay? All right. How many of you, so most of you have pets. Did you write down taking your dog out for a walk?
Yes, I
Or-
did.
or- I know, you spend like 180 hours at the dog park. I mean.
It's 7.5 hours a week.
Okay,
See, also child management.
Yeah.
yeah, child management, yep,
She's a
absolutely.
diva.
Yes.
Mhm.
I created it.
Mhm.
Okay, the rest of well, I do like walks a day, so yeah.
How many of you have social media accounts?
Oh,
I put down
Yeah, I
emails
added
and
that.
social.
Okay, so hold on. Did you separate it out or put it together?
No, I put emails and social together,
Okay.
because it's all, I'm pretty much all in the same place doing it.
Okay, so let's separate that out for a minute. So how many of you go down the rabbit hole of social media? Like
Yeah.
start scrolling, right? Yeah, did you write it down?
I wrote Facebook.
Facebook?
I'm on Facebook a lot.
Uh-huh,
I do, for work, I do the corporate photos. I do, we have a cat in the store, so I do the cat photos, and then I do my own, so I have 3 of them that
ah,
I work on.
how many, I'm curious, a number of hours on social media.
I put 4 hours a day, so it's 12 hours a week.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty accurate, okay? Who forgot to put social media down, anybody? Mhm. Yep, it happens, it happens.
Way more important.
I'm not saying it's not, I'm just saying, we're looking at what you do in a day, right? So, all right, so think about it, you get up in the morning, now, for me, and I'll just kind of take you down a little bit of my road in the morning. So I get up, I brew coffee, I have my morning meditation that I do a little bit of card pulling, I do gratitude work. Then I will sit down and I do a tiny bit of reading while I'm having my coffee, then I check my emails. And then from there, I plan out my day. How many of you actually plan your day out?
I haven't
Did you write it down?
checked. That's
Did you write it down?
Yeah.
Okay, it's on your, how much time did you put down for that?
10 to 15 minutes.
Okay, all right. So planning out the day.
But I do that at the end of the day for the next day.
Okay, yep, I do that too. Okay, so you've got that down. Excellent. What about phone calls, talking to people?
Yep.
Okay,
I didn't put that Zoom.
Zoom?
So many Zooms.
right? Zoom, okay. What about passwords? Like trying to find your damn password that you didn't have before?
See, I
Look
don't,
for that. So, okay, well, yeah, says the tech guy. Tech guy's like, I know all of my passwords right here, so, right?
Yeah.
So some of us don't. Some of us need to look them up sometimes.
password one, just
Yeah.
get the.
So, okay, but, so these are the types of things that you really want to be looking at, right? And so what about making dinner? Did anybody forget that? You all have it? What about eating said dinner or lunch or breakfast? The whole eating part,
Yeah.
okay?
Meals, that put meals prep and clean.
Meals prep and clean, okay? So how much time did you put for that?
I put 2 hours a day.
2 hours a day, okay? No, that's good. Some people put like 10 minutes for that and I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So again, this is a breakdown, and what I encourage you to do is actually take a true stock of your life for a week and write it down. It's really, really fascinating when you do it because you're like, oh, I forgot I did all of these things. You know, chores, I think you said chores, right? You put chores, right? So if you break down your chores and what you're actually doing in those chores could be very interesting.
Can we then present it to our significant other?
I did.
This is what I have.
I did. Absolutely you can, because I did it and it changes your life sometimes, depending, because again, if we're talking about running a values-based business, you first have to have a values-based life, right? So that the two can intertwine. And if you're spending, I cannot get it right.
Sorry, she's being very disruptive.
No, she's adorable. I don't mind. Oh, are you kidding me? No, she's good. She can run around the pier. I don't mind. But as you're doing that, and as you're looking at where you're spending your time, if you're finding that you're out of balance with your values and the things that you value, and everything just becomes a priority because it has to get done, not because you value it in your heart and your passions, you're off balance. So sure as heck, you can show it to your spouse or to your colleagues or to whomever you need to, if you need to do that. But what I suggest is sit with it yourself and figure out why you're spending time on the things that aren't bringing you joy, passion, happiness. Why aren't you doing that? Are there things that you're doing that you shouldn't be doing because it's not in your sphere of genius, right? So when you think about your business, how many of you contract people out to do the things you hate to do? Ooh, right? Yeah. So I do not like social media. I have social media accounts. I have my personal one that I do my gratitudes on. Maybe I post pictures of my family. That's about it. My business accounts, I hire somebody to do that because I don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. Yeah. Like, so how many of you hate cleaning your house? Maybe. How many of you hire that out? Because I will tell you, if you hire stuff out that you don't like, even if you think you can't afford it, put a price tag on how much your time is worth and what you would fill that with. Is what you fill it with more valuable than the money that you're spending to have somebody do something that you don't want to be doing or that doesn't bring you joy?
You know how much house cleaners are these days? Up here, they're like $50 an hour.
Find one that's not.
Impossible.
Get an intern. So, okay, but if you have to clean the house, right, then what's something else that you're spending time on, right? So where's that shift in balance? I would never pay $50 an hour for somebody to clean my house. Wouldn't happen. But some people might because it's worth it. I can tell you I'm worth more than $50 an hour in my own, how I feel about myself and my business, right? But you all get to decide that for yourself.
The problem is 3 days later, the house is kind of back to where it was. And so you're having to clean it. That's what I found.
Sometimes you just have a choice, because you have pigs living in your house. It's like, why am I cleaning up after you again?
Mm-hmm. And that's just one thing. What are all the other things that are on your list? You know, how are you deciphering that? And even when you wrote it down, were you making sure that you were looking at what you do versus what you do as a household? Versus what maybe your children do. So you talk about having kids, and those of you that have kids and the oversight. So there's the kid management, but then there's also the oversight. So if you broke that down, how much time do you have to spend on doing homework with them? How much time do you have to, I don't know how old some of the kids are, but that you have to help them with their hygiene, brushing their hair, brushing their teeth, whatever that looks like, you know, helping them with, or going to their sporting outings or whatever extracurriculars they have. For those of you that have grandchildren or children in your life, are you spending time going to recitals? Hey, maybe you don't want to go to, but you're going anyway because it's the right thing to do for family, you know? Did you write all of that down? So if you spend time in a week literally looking at where you're spending your time and understanding where you're spending your time, it gives you real insight into what you're doing and is it what you want to be doing? And is it aligning with what the life you want to have? And again, if you do this same exercise for your business. So again, think about your business. Think about where you spend your time on your business. Are you spending time doing the things that you want to be doing? So Robin, correct? So Robin, you have 4 businesses that are all online businesses. How do you make sure that you are spending the right amount of time on each one?
Some of them don't require a lot of time, and some of them do. Some of the businesses I'm in classes. So in order to get the training to do what I'm doing, I have to go through all the classes. I can go slowly or I can go quickly. And some days I want to go quickly.
Yeah.
Try to portion it out and just say, okay, 5.5 hours today to learn.
To learn. Yep. Do you ever? I want to know how that happened. That's fun.
I think it's from the menus.
Oh, I gotcha.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I don't care. No, don't be sorry. I love it. Soon those glasses will just migrate into the hallway. They'll walk around themselves. I love it. So do you ever feel like it's whack-a-mole? Where, do you remember the game whack-a-mole where like something would pop up, so you have to get it done, you whack it down, and then this pops up over here? Does it ever feel like that with your business?
Sure.
Yeah? Because it's the stuff that has to get done, right? And that's where it goes back to priorities versus over the values, you know? So when you start thinking, wow, this feels like a whack-a-mole, it's probably prioritization over value. So think about that as you're working through your business. So again, this exercise, if you do it for your life, do it for your business. How much time are you spending on your business? And again, very eye-opening. Is she sleeping? Because that's just too adorable. Okay, what time? What time is it here? 11:35. Okay. So we're going to do this for your business. I wasn't sure how much time that would take, you going through it. So I'd like you to do this same exercise, but do it for your business. And for you, my dear, do it your businesses as a whole. Let's do it for all 4 at once. So break down your time of what you spend on your business. And the only caveat is it can't exceed 168 hours a week.
I only work in my. That's.
Okay, tell me more.
Because I am intensive when I have a trip coming up or when I'm planning it. And that's all consuming. Otherwise, I could go for months without having anything to do with my business.
You don't touch it at all? Oh, I love that. What a great balance.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. So, That's interesting. So this is new. I like new things. So maybe take the time for when you're leading up to going on one of your trips. What's it that look like?
Because it's most intensive when I'm planning a trip.
When you're
It's
planning?
All consuming,
Okay, why don't you write that down?
all consuming.
Yeah, do the all consuming time.
Okay. So, what do you want?
I would say I remembered it, yeah. Smooth out feels good.
So for the people who are watching virtually, one of them
Yes.
just messaged me and they said, who's sleeping? Because they didn't see the puppy.
Oh. Love that. That's so funny.
In front of the camera.
No. No. She's like, I know you're talking about me.
Yeah.
So you put me back in the free. And we had a really good question. So if you don't have a business right now, or you're taking a hiatus, then, you know, look at it from the perspective of the business that you want to be running or what you imagine yourself doing. Is this one proving to be harder or easier than personal life?
I don't know.
Harder?
It's a little shocking looking at the weekly, like, oh, that's more than 40 hours a week for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love it when I see the, oh, shoot, I forgot I do this too. Those are fun moments. Plus I'm making y'all think on a Saturday. It's terrible of me.
I just realized that a lot of my clients that are younger only text and I never actually talk to them. So like we soon,
Mm-hmm,
whole weddings through text message. Now,
mm-hmm.
so texting, I'm like, oh, I do that a lot.
And then do you have to translate what comes through on text onto an intake form or
Yes.
something like that? So
Yes.
that translation over, so that takes time, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm noticing that as a Gen X, there's a big generational difference with communication forms. Yes. You know, interesting how, especially for it's in that age group that grew up a lot of phone calls. Now it's like, let's talk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the exercise that you're doing right now, from the business standpoint, I do this for myself once a year. So I'm not making you do anything I don't do. And the reason I do it is I got to keep myself in. I love to work. I'm a workaholic. And it reminds me that I shouldn't be. Okay, I see a lot of you done writing, so let's talk a little bit about this. So some of you said it was harder. Who found it easier? Okay. Yep. So as you were writing this down, so tell me some of the things you wrote. Curious. I'm sure emails are on there, right? Answering emails,
Chasing people.
chasing people. Oh, tell me more about that.
Oh my God, I'm continually, because I deal with Vietnam and Croatia and all of these different time zones. And just chasing them down, making sure that they're gonna get back to me and the whole communication,
Mm-hmm.
making sure that.
So follow up.
Setting up,
Yeah.
canceling them, resetting them up, making sure they're gonna be there.
How much time do you spend on that?
During when I'm doing the itineraries, it's about 10 hours a week, and then before I leave on a trip, it's about 15 hours a week.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot. That's also gotta be draining, very draining, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Jenny, but, oh, no, talking about African time and kids being on what we call African time, which is, I'll see you in 5 minutes means I'll see you next week.
Mm-hmm.
And so having to interpret every country and whether they're gonna be on time, how often you have to remind them about the times, it is exhausting.
Wow.
Americans want it now,
Yep.
and everybody else
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter.
Yep. Wow. That's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there too, because it is the follow-up, the interpretation, all of that. Wow, that's a lot. What else do folks have down? What'd you write down?
A lot of time for like photo related stuff, like editing and creating images, things like one of the things I really want to do is start working with things like greeting cards and a lot of wildlife stuff that I'd love to start doing something with.
Mm-hmm.
So I imagine creating time for that type of thing.
Mm-hmm. And did you break it down into editing X amount of hours, actually photographing? Because again, you can take this very detailed if you want to, right? What else did you write down?
Lead process after I get inquiries, like entering stuff in. It's much easier now because I streamlined that process and spent probably 2 months making all the templates. Because I wasn't buying, so I made all my stuff. And that was a lot of work, but now that it's done, it's so much easier.
Yeah. Yep.
So it used to take me 1 to 2 hours. Now it takes me like 10 minutes.
Yep. And I was just gonna ask you that question. I
Yeah.
love that. So do you use a CRM tool
Yeah.
for that? Excellent. Okay. That's great. What else did you write down?
Started like tracking finances,
Ah,
tracking the books,
mm-hmm,
receipts, and
mm-hmm. How much time does that take?
I don't know, do it like. I throw everything in a box and I do it now. And now it's taking me like weeks to go through it all and enter it into it. Cause I have to do it every day,
Mm-hmm.
so.
I'm chuckling because I can't wait to tell. So a woman that just an acquaintance of mine, she just launched a program called From Shoebox to Toolbox, and she's an accountant and puts everything that's in people's shoebox receipts and enters it into this Excel thing. I'm like, that's really interesting because I didn't know anybody that did that. Now I do.
I hate that I do that, but I just get so busy every day and that I don't have time for that right now, and cause I have like a spreadsheet that I started in January, but then I just don't go back to it, and then it just everything goes to the box, and then like in January, I go through and I just spend weeks just like going through everything, in order, get the spreadsheet and.
Mm-hmm.
Would you take a picture of the receipt?
What's that?
Would you take a picture of the receipt instead of putting it in the thing? Because, yeah, because there's an app that will actually put it in your spreadsheet.
Yeah, I heard about apps, but
It's,
I mean,
it's less time.
I know. Like that is one of the biggest time sucks for me, like right now.
Mm.
Tracking and recording expenses and stuff.
Mhm.
Next time.
Yeah.
It's like, I spent all day last Saturday just going through receipts, and I'm still not ready to start doing taxes.
Yep. What else? What else did folks write down?
Travel,
Travel. Ah, okay. Tell me more.
going to photo jobs, traveling to different places, going to the weddings, driving back.
Mm-hmm.
Setting up all the equipment, gathering it all, packing it up,
Mhm.
unpacking it, charging batteries.
Mm-hmm. How much time is that typically?
It's like I put down, well, it depends on what you're doing, 'cause if it's like. Now time of the year, it's very little, but if it's like fall time of the year, it could be like an hour or two a day. And then if it's like wedding season, it can be like, the wedding can be like 2 hours one way,
Mm-hmm.
so it just depends on what.
Yep. And right there is an opportunity to say, okay, here are and I'm just making it up, 5 different types of events that I do. And here's how I break down my time for each one of those and taking a look at that to see what that looks like. What else did folks write down?
Education.
Ooh, education. Ooh, tell me more about that.
I did, group photography or was learning, right?
Mhm.
So, for me, it's just a priority.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. How much time did you put down for that?
So I only put down an hour, because really on the weekends, I get home and find
Mhm.
I'll sit for an hour and watch something online, but it depends. Sometimes during the week, if I have time,
Mhm.
that's always a priority for me, like first thing in the morning between showering and getting ready for work. If I find that I've got 1 minute, then I'll try to delve into something.
Yeah. Nice. What else? Couple things I haven't heard. Troubleshooting. Anybody have to troubleshoot stuff? Problem solving? You have online businesses. I know you're troubleshooting something down there. Every day.
I better make a list of all the things that are hanging me up, and I'm gonna solve all,
Mm-hmm.
they just keep coming.
Mm-hmm. Did you write that down?
No.
Yeah. She's like, no. Okay. Anybody want to actually build their business? Haven't heard anything about building your pipeline.
I've done networking.
Networking, okay. Networking is a little bit different, but so networking at events, networking in connection activities. How are you networking? Tell me more. All the things,
Yeah,
women's groups, men's groups, people groups.
yeah.
Okay, all the cat groups, because I know you have the cat at the office. I love that. Okay. But what about advertise, any of you advertise your business? No?
Yes.
Yes? Okay,
I did put marketing on there.
marketing, okay, yep. Yep. And then any of you ever say no to people that come in and want to work with you?
Yes.
Not as much as I should.
Not as much as you should, okay?
If I know if somebody wants me to photograph them and we have a meeting and I just know it's not gonna match, I sometimes will help price myself, so they don't pick.
Oh, I love that. So a little creativity. I call that the PFE, just so you know, I call it the PFE. Mhm. You can ask me later what that means.
Yes, I'm sure I can.
Mhm. Okay. So again, because there's all different aspects of your business, right? So when I think about my business and what I do a lot of different things. So I speak, I write, I do business strategy. So travel is definitely in there for me. Planning out my week and my days, scheduling meetings. And especially for those of you that are working cross time zones, oh, for goodness sake. Like, I mean, I only do US, Canada, and into the UK. I can't imagine like what because it's enough with that. You know, then it's checking emails, it's responding to emails, it's filing emails when I'm done doing whatever needs to be done. It's the financial piece of it. It's budgeting and planning. You know, not only am I the CEO, right? I'm also all of these other things. I'm everything. Then it's CRM, building templates, making sure that you're getting educated and staying up on things that are happening within your industry or outside of your industry. It's the networking piece. It's going to different events that, you know, whether it's Chamber of Commerce events, or if you're asked to do something. How many of you are asked for your expertise because you get a phone call from somebody that's a friend of yours? I'm sure that happens, right? Yeah. How long does that take sometimes? So all of these things are in your days, right? And so how many of you had more than what the US says, 40 hours a week in your work week? Yeah. More, okay. How many of you, I didn't even see Jamie was down there. I just saw a hand come up behind you. That was really funny. How many of you had less than 40 hours? Okay. After you added that problem solving back in, you sure you still have less? Okay. All right. But that's okay, right? Because that's where you want to be. And so a lot of people talk about work-life balance. I actually like to talk about work-life boundaries. And so when you understand your value systems for your business, or you understand your value systems for your personal life, it allows you not only to say yes to the things that you love and bring you joy and align with that, it also gives you permission to say no. It gives you permission to say no to clients that don't align with who you are. It allows you to say no to businesses that might want to work with you when you're like, I don't really want to help you build your business because I don't believe in what you're doing. You know, it allows you and gives you that permission. So if you think about that boundary piece of it, what do your boundaries look like for yourself? And how do you steep the work that you do in your value systems? Okay. So we're just about at break time, because before lunch is ready, I want to give you time to do the things that you need to do. When you get back from lunch, we're going to go through some values exercises, and one in particular. So we'll be taking some time to do that, and keep your sheets, but I want you to put those aside when we go into the value stuff after lunch. I don't want you to go back to those. We'll go back to them later on today, but keep them, don't throw them away. And any questions on anything that we've talked about this morning, any aha moments or pop rocks that you want to share?
I think it was all good. Yeah, I mean, very good. I think you brought, you know, the way that you went about trying to pull information out of us. It even brought connection, and it brought pop rocks and just different things. So
Did you have any aha moments about yourself? Mm-hmm. That's okay. Good. It means you know yourself.
For me, this comes at a really, really good time because we just had a conversation yesterday on the phone that I am extremely overwhelmed and stressed out. Like, time management for me is between this business, between all of the commitments I have in my regular job, I'm a bubble about to explode. And I have no idea who's gonna reap the wrath of my explosion, but it'll happen.
Yeah,
It's definitely, this is a great time for this.
awesome. Any other Pop Rocks aha moments?
Just what I could save time on.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Saving time to then spend it on the things you love.
I had a good reminder, like I know this about myself, but writing it down, it was like, spend less time on social media, right?
Spend less time on what?
On social media,
Mm-hmm.
so it was a good, that's a good reminder, and I put in my notes. To put it on a Post-it note on my monitor. Yeah.
Yep.
I second the reminder comment, just because like, it's the little things, like, oh yeah, I should do this, oh yeah, I should do that, but it's just like also too, like just being here in general is just a reminder of the fact that not on the path that I want to be, I'd like to get there. So it's good motivation, and it's all good brainstorming. So on and so forth.
So I have a problem with, my husband leaves work at 5 o'clock in the morning, and he now gets home at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And it's always, oh, it's 3 o'clock, you're home already? But at any rate, and then, he expects me to spend time with him.
Yeah.
And before dinner, he understands that I still may be working, but it's the after dinner, and his idea of spending time together, sitting watching TV together. And if I don't do that with him, he takes offense, kind of. So that's it's kind of a struggle that.
Yeah. So 2 things. Number 1, when you were writing down time, did you write spending time with your spouse down?
No, I said watching TV.
Okay.
So
Well, because it's the same thing for you, right? So it's always very interesting because his value could be quality time, and he doesn't know how to do quality time beyond watching TV. He might not know what else, so is there an opportunity to figure out quality time together doing something else?
Well, I mean, it's still time, whether it's watching TV or quality time, it's still that time when I need to be with him,
that you need to balance out.
that
Yeah, I
can't
gotcha.
spend
Yep.
doing, my itineraries.
Yep.
because he's gonna work. So it's like, you could play cribbage or, read magazines, or just as long as we're in the same room.
Yep. Well, and that's where the boundary piece comes in, right? Where it's, and does your office have a door that shuts?
Yeah, it's upstairs.
I mean, yeah, I can send you I'll get your email, because I'll send you some best practices on that of things you can do. And at the end of the day, it'll cause a little conflict at first, but if these are the things you need to do to continue, number 1, not only your business, but also you're passionate about it. Like when you talked about it, your eyes lit up, you're talking about your itineraries, pulling stuff together. You love it. And so if he understands how much joy that's bringing you, maybe that will help shift his, maybe, but yeah.
He's very understanding, he understood it, but back when I was just doing photography, I was up in my office all the time, doing school photos, doing the editing, doing the processing, and he became very irritated with me, because I was spending so much time away from him. So, I mean, over the years, he understands it, but now we're just falling into a routine that it's the way it is.
Do you, I hate date night, but do you time block time together?
Time block?
Time block it, like
3 to 5, I'm gonna be with you. It's pretty much set that from after dinner to when he goes to bed, which is about 2 hours. I really only get 2 hours a day with him. Because he's up early and he goes to bed at 8. So yeah.
That's also tough.
And then after he goes to bed, I'm too exhausted because we sat and relaxed. It's really difficult for me to go up and be productive.
Yeah, I have some tips I'll send to you. Some will work, yeah. Some will work, some might not work, but things to try, yeah. That's tough. You also are on different sleeping patterns too, it sounds like.
Yeah.
That's my husband and I are too. Very different, yeah. Yeah, but I shifted some things. Because here's the thing, you can only control yourself, right? You can only control your reactions and how you do things. So unfortunately, it's what you become willing to shift and what you're not willing to shift. And then, does he travel with you? Probably not, right?
Does he, it's the worst traveling partner ever. I hate traveling with him. No, when I go to groups, he doesn't come with me, but every year we do try and travel together.
But he doesn't do your trips with you. That's really interesting too. Huh, okay.
Book more trips.
Okay. What else? What other aha moment?
Extend your trip.
Or extend
No,
it?
I do love my husband.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Very exciting.
I would do for work.
He's a, nurse coordinator.
So that's also the way he decompresses too. So when he comes
He's
home,
always been that way.
yeah, interesting, okay. So here, your energy is up here because you're getting all this exciting stuff together. He's coming home and his energy's here. So it's not even about the time too, it's about what that time means for each of you, which is also an interesting dynamic. Okay. What else? All right, well, thank you for this morning. We will come back and do some work together. Folks online, thanks for sticking in there. I know being online is difficult and challenging. And so we'll come back. So I know you said about an hour for lunch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
What
we'll
time did they say?
12:15 downstairs.
Okay.
So why don't we be back here at 1:15? Okay? All right.
And make sure to take your credit card and your room number.
And we're gonna go down to the lobby. See one.
Yes. There's a big, probably a 12 o'clock down there.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
I can tell that I'm back in Vermont whenever it snows. When I lived here, whenever it snowed, I would always